All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Tuesday night edition of the REMINGTOM pod, the first ever two-parter movie edition episode that we've ever done. What was it due to some technical difficulty issues, some loading issues, pause on the last live stream, maybe. But if there ever was a movie that was, worthy of course, the mega two-part episode, it would be the Boys in the Hood, the John Singleton debut classic that, of course, we have been rewatching here on the live stream. So, again, it works out because it is worthy. It is a historic movie, so it's all, for the best. But we do have some NBA stuff in the background as well, too, at the moment. Some Summer League stuff. Of course, we're just in the middle of the lull, the summer, the sports summer at this point. And I did see on the schedule here, just as a random piece of news, that they had the Giannis press conference for the Miami Heat, his introductory press conference scheduled at like 2 o'clock. I think, later in the week, I think like Thursday. But they have the Bobby Portis scheduled, the Bobby Portis introductory press conference because he was also in the trade. They have that scheduled at noon. So like, wait a second, is Bobby Portis getting like a 2-hour introductory press conference from the Miami Heat? How many questions do they have for Bobby Portis? Hey, yo, I feel like a lot of times you just do the trade, you get the couple guys on the stage, you just have Bobby Portis there, and then everybody just asks Giannis all the questions. And then Bobby Portis just like, oh, it's good to be here. But I guess Bobby Portis, Chad, a 2-hour question session with the Miami media. They are ready to go. So they're locked in. I guess, they might have to invite us to get, enough questions for the 2 hours. We will have to see. But, maybe speaking of NBA as well, too, I am also seeing this because the ESPN now, of course, we have it set for our, you have it set for your favorite teams. It's starting to give me the preseason, recommendations for the upcoming games for the NFL here. And it's got, Colts, Patriots, hey, yo. And I do got to say that, as much as we have been recovering from the NBA season here, the NBA finals, as much as the finals was, a hurtful finals. And, again, it was, as we've talked about many times, the fact that the Spurs had the lead, the fact that the balance in the game shifted so much as it did, where you could even make the case that the Spurs should have won the finals. Again, it is obviously, one to look back and, think there is some what ifs there. That is for sure. But at the end of the day, what we do like is we like competing for titles. So, as much as the Colts are fun, as much as the NFL is fun, I do gotta say, the competitiveness of Indy, it is like, okay, here we go. Another long season. Another long season. Pause. It is what it is. So, I can't wait for the 8-8, Indianapolis Colts season again. The 9 and I guess it's not 8-8 anymore. 8-9, the 9 and whatever. Hey, yo. But even last year, it's like we start off with the best team in the league, and somehow we're still average by the end of it. And I guess shout out. We're just looking forward to it, Chad. We can't wait. But again, as much as it is like, oh, the finals are disappointing, it is that perspective of the finals. We were in the finals. We are a young team. We have Wemby. There are teams that are more down bad than us, I guess, in the NBA. Again, if we're ranking down badness, again, the runner up, I guess, as a lot of other teams may see it, the runner up just lost the finals with one of the best young foundational pieces, foundational cores. Again, there's a lot of franchises at this point that'd still be like, what would we want to trade with San Antonio? But like we've said, the league is in an interesting spot where it is a lot of optimism. Would the Wizards, after drafting Dembasta, would they do a full pause, like a full roster swap at this point? Again, a 1-for-1. I don't know what that's the Spurs penalty. They're like, we've had enough. We're trading everybody to Washington for Dembasta and Trae Young, and we're gonna try to win the West that way. And then all of a sudden we're like, wait a second, this is why we got to be thankful for what we have. But again, seeing the Colts, seeing what it's like to have another, sort of maybe not as competitive, championship level team, and especially the fact that, again, it's been a very successful year for the fandom of our teams. The sort of random collection that we do have for us specifically. But, we also had Michigan basketball, of course, make a run at the national title. So at least the calendar year of 2026 has been very competitive, very winning, very adrenaline filled for the the sports, the sports side of things for our fandom. But make no mistake, this fall and winter, Chad, I guess is going to be much more calm looking at Colts football. It is what it is. Of course, again, obviously, Michigan football and stuff. We'll see. They should still be, up near the top of the Big Ten this year. We would assume, but it was like, okay, just a reminder to, maybe lock back in. Maybe the complaining about the finals is over. I don't know. Is what is our window? How long do we get here, chat, on the pod? How long can you guys take it? Pause us complaining about the finals. I guess in some ways, hey, spoiler alert, wait for this one, chat. In some ways, we'll never get over it. It is what it is. It'll be one of the, because you can't go back, and even if you, win the finals, it is like, if they win if they win it and make it up, because of course, like we've compared it before, the 13-14, San Antonio makes the run at the revenge title, but there is still the little bit there is that 99% satisfaction where there is that one pause, where there is that 1%. Well, it's like, well, what if we had two, not to be overly greedy or anything. Again, you already have five, I guess, in the decade or in the century, but, or I guess, 99, 2000. Yeah, technically the century, but what are we saying for the, again, there is that little bit of a what if of like, would we win two in a row? Of course, the question does become, and because that Spurs team is a little bit of an older team, there is that, again, a slightly unanswerable question on the other side of things where it's like, would they have the same, extra pep in their step to get back and make the finals run? But I think they would have because, again, they had Kawhi at that time as well too. So there was a, a changing of the guard thing happening there anyways that would have happened. And, again, kind of like the Western Conference, does, I guess, for any team, or, any conference does for any team that's going to make a run. There was some favorable stuff that happened that year as well too. I think there was maybe was that the year Ibaka got hurt in the postseason against San Antonio? He got hurt in one of those years that, kind of was one of the reasons that, injuries and stuff cost OKC a series there. And, Spurs great play as well too. But, there are going to be those other factors that do play into it. But, yeah, like we said, and, again, as much as it is disappointing, as much as it is a grueling, path to get back, as much as the Western Conference is, a tough conference, and there is, like we're saying, a lot of great stars in the league. The league is looking good, a lot of young new talent. Again, even rising stars, or get guys like Cooper Flag and stuff who haven't made it playoff impact yet, play-in impact. I don't even know, start getting into the play-in game. But, again, once they start getting into the mix as well too, pause. But for, San Antonio, again, regardless, like we're saying, the setup is still there. Like, we're still going into the league, blank slate, take all of the, well, I guess you can't take all of the, the history and the play of it out, because then it's like, well, what are you basing the, the guys, stuff on? Pause. But for, again, take the final success of it out, and just the rosters, the overall vibe of the team. Like, it is still, again, obviously top notch in the NBA, if not, number one at this point for, again, just kind of the pure roster talent. I guess, OKC as well, but obviously, the Wemby factor is what it is. And I just saw a headline as well too that said Perk said that Wemby should have signed $1 billion contract. It was a little bit of like, okay, they're really, making a headline out of the exaggeration. I mean, Perk does obviously have some takes, but then there's the take, and then there's just the exaggerating comment that you make. There's just the joke. I guess there's the take, and then there's a joke. So like, okay, now we're just making headlines out of jokes that are being made on the, on the shows. It is what it is. Because if you are making a headline out of a take, again, that's what the shows are in a sense. I guess, it's sports media, so there is a reporting, truthful, honesty, investigation side to things. But, again, for the Perk side, hey, whoa, for the, what are we saying? For like the first take, again, for some of the shows, just for a certain, hot take segment of it, again, I guess we don't have our journalist certificate up in the background, as well. But again, like there is, something that's like, okay, if ESPN is making headlines out of the hot takes, and that's, that's kind of the point of it. But now we're just making headlines out of the throwaway jokes and the side comments of, what are you saying for Wemby, a 10-year $1 billion contract? But I guess it worked, because I was like, okay, wait a second, Perk's gonna have to explain himself real quick. I was like, does Perk understand that there's a second apron in 2026? Wemby can't be on $1 billion contract, even if it is for 10 years. Hey, yo. But what are we saying for, again, just for the overall, getting our, picking our head up and just getting back into being a normal NBA fan again. Like, yes, the Spurs are fine. The Spurs are fine. This is one of the best, lose the final situations that a team has been in a long time. So, again, compared to a lot of teams in just sports in general, again, the Spurs are doing okay. But, I guess we could be doing better because this goes to a couple things that we have been tracking as well. I guess, we could be doing better because we won the finals. But we were on a couple of live streams ago talking about the Luke Cornett, what is it called? The Luke Cornett pitch that he made to LeBron to join the team. I don't know. We pull this back up here real quick, just in case you missed it. And, a lot of course, everybody in the league, everybody in every, side of sports has been pitching LeBron to go to the team. I did see this comment here on this post that said the Harlem Globetrotters said we're ready. I don't know if this one is acceptable, Chad. Hey, yo. There's like some joking ones. You get some football teams, some other sports teams like, oh, LeBron's a free agent. He should go join he's in LA already. The Dodgers have a lot of superstars. He should just join the Dodgers. Just, he doesn't even have to bat first, or whatever I guess leadoff is not necessarily the number one. I guess, again, we don't know baseball. But, the Globetrotters is the one where it's like, whoa, wait a second. LeBron on the Globetrotters. What's going on there? Like, that means he's retired. I guess, like, the big three, even some, like, Ice Cube, the big three, like, even something about that. Because they were, they've made play, they were recruiting Caitlin Clark. So there has been a recruitment of active players, I guess, is the point. They're not just, I guess, 100% recruiting retired players. Hey, yo. But, I guess we can't just say the Harlem Globetrotter players are retired necessarily. If one of them was offered an NBA contract, he'd be like, I can't, I'm retired. Well, but, again, maybe there would be one that it would be. But, either way, the Globetrotters saying we're ready for LeBron. I was like, oh, wait a second. LeBron, no, he's gonna, that means he's retired, Chad. I don't know, obviously, it's happening. It's happening soon. It is what it is. But at least, I don't know, maybe just the randomness of this team, maybe him going into this, into the sunset for a team that he was starting to even, start to develop some connection to in a way. Again, I could say some connection. Like, he won a title for LA, I think. And, again, rest in peace. Like, I obviously, comparing the LA legacy to other legacies of NBA guys like Kobe, again, it's just, it's a totally different thing. To say, again, LeBron never captivated LA like Kobe. It's like, okay, does that mean LeBron was never, welcomed or loved in the city or a beloved, Lakers guy or whatever? And again, like, obviously they have a lot of legends, Kareem, Magic, Shaq, all these guys. I honestly think, and I guess, again, obviously as being a Spurs fan, we're kind of the anti-Lakers fan in some ways, but for, again, Lakers legends, I feel like he is, right up there with honored. And I guess, again, for this century, the legends obviously did start to, Pau Gasol and stuff there at the end of the 2000s. But, for the more, obviously up until LeBron got there, the more recent basketball history was they weren't, as successful as they were in the past. So for us personally, that may be a little distorted. Again, just for the Lakers team specifically that we were watching, the D'Angelo Russell Lakers a little different than the Magic Johnson Lakers. So again, for us to say that LeBron was accepted and beloved into the Lakers in that type of way, again, we're just comparing him to different teams. It is what it is. But I still think that he did, get to the top of the list in some ways. And again, we mentioned those guys, Kareem, Magic, and Shaq. You do have to give respect to the, I'm not saying like James Worthy's another guy. James Worthy's a Hall of Famer, but you do have to give respect to the other tier of guys on those teams as well, too. Again, even like Michael Cooper being, iconic Larry Bird, defender, and just, again, all the battles that were there for those Lakers teams. But, and, we're maybe giving him the career bump, the legacy bump as well, too. But I just think the Lakers fandom, it seemed like there was, and, I guess you did have the thing where the LeBron fans became Lakers fans as well, too. So there was that side of thing. There's like the true Lakers fan, then like we're saying, the kind of newer LeBron Lakers fan as well, too, which isn't a bad thing. But it did seem like, again, hot take, the city did love LeBron. Hey, yo, again, was it, 80s late, was it Showtime Lakers all the time? And there was sometimes, you get into some of the way that the news is, I guess, blame it on the news. But there is just that conflict a little bit with the headlines and then the way that he's obviously, the power that he has in these teams. It is what it is. Like, again, it's like you say that and there is, because of the way that it has been reported, I think there is a bad connotation for like LeBron James has power in a team. I guess for me specifically, I still look at it and go, it's LeBron. Like, if anybody's going to have as much say in a team as they do, it would be him. So, again, obviously, maybe not every move has been 100% the right move. Guess what? That's basically every GM in the NBA as well, too. So, welcome aboard. It is what it is. It's just part of the basketball process at this point. That's why when you have, basketball people running the show that do have such a successful hit rate, it does become a special thing. And, obviously, they do get credited and stuff there. And, obviously, Hall of Fame and stuff, is a thing that can be achieved by, GM and stuff. But for, I guess, again, for the LeBron Lakers thing, I guess, that was something that we were seeing, that was a conversation throughout the course of his career there in LA, I guess. But I don't know how that affects, I guess, the non-Lakers fan watching LeBron retire, I guess. But there is the sort of, I guess, now factor of we know that this team is going to be, I guess maybe we don't, he could do a 1-1 and be like, well, Cleveland didn't work out like I thought. Let me actually go to Denver. I don't know, but it does seem like maybe, there is obviously this last chapter. Like he was going to LA, I guess, LA is the last chapter, but, I guess, Cowherd was wrong, chat. Hey, again, we weren't, LeBron kept playing. I guess LeBron outplayed Ben Simmons. So, again, it wasn't, and, maybe the finality of this last team will be a little bit more, get prepared, chat. It is what it is. I don't know. Again, we weren't like, obviously jumping ship to, change teams for the Lakers and stuff like that. Though I gotta say, not to expose him or anything like that, pause, but our brother, I think, might be a little bit of a Lakers fan at this point. I think he still is, like, secretly, I guess, not to say that the Spurs fandom has to run in the family. I guess, it just did there for a second. The family was a Spurs fan, but now I guess, something happened, and there was like a conversation that we were having the other day, maybe it was over the 4th. And he was talking about like, oh, I was like, wait a second, you might be a LeBron fan. I was like, when did this end in the Lakers? I was like, a rival? I was like, no, I can't believe it. I don't believe it. But, again, it's LeBron, I guess. It is what it is. I guess he's just one of those guys. And I guess him specifically, our brother, he is a little bit of a nostalgic sports fan. So, obviously he does really like the era that we were watching when we were growing up. And it was a great era as well too, but just of athletes in general, hey, LeBron's like the one left. I guess LeBron and Aaron Rodgers, are the ones left. I don't think he's as like, locked in on Aaron Rodgers as he is, LeBron, but I guess, that is some of and whenever Phillip Rivers decides to, get out there and play a couple of games in the regular season, this is like, oh, there's our childhood again, but, for, I guess, again, actual active athletes, I guess Steph and Durant, that whole era, in some ways, but LeBron even has a little bit more of a head start than some of those guys as well too. But I guess the point was, the Luke Cornett pitch that he made to LeBron for him joining San Antonio, and make no mistake, chat, it was a disaster. It is what it is. It has fans cracking up. Well, I guess LeBron didn't appreciate it as much, not to redo the whole thing, but basically, I think he called him, I don't know, a voice memo. I don't really know what happened there, but, left him a list of things that said he should join San Antonio because you can play alongside a generational player and Victor Wembanyama. And then SeaWorld, which shout out, love SeaWorld. I'm sure it's a great thing, but, number 2 reason to join a basketball team. I don't know about that. Again, if we're talking about winning a title, SeaWorld, I mean, shout out, but, it is what it is. Again, we're talking about winning an NBA title here. Has SeaWorld ever helped a team win a title? I mean, maybe it has. Maybe they'll have like a team bonding event. I mean, that will be the storyline. This next year will be like after the finals, the team lost, they went to SeaWorld, and it was, it was the team bonding experience they needed to get back on the right track and win the finals. And then in that case, yes, then SeaWorld did actually help the Spurs win the finals. But I guess up until this point, we'll just need to see. I guess I'm not doubting it, but I need to see. I would like to know. I would like to know a Team Spurs outing at SeaWorld that, propelled the finals run. But it says, and then Cornette offered to, give LeBron a guest room as well, too, as if LeBron couldn't just buy Luke Cornett's entire neighborhood. And then it says San Antonio is a great place for kids. Again, LeBron's kids are professional athletes at this point, so they're grown adults. It's a little disrespectful. And then it says you're chasing number 5. We have 5. We're kind of in the same ballpark. Anytime Luke Cornett says we in LeBron ballpark, pause, it's just not true. It is what it is. And again, Luke Cornett has not won a single of those rings for San Antonio. So as much as, we haven't won those as well too for San Antonio, at least we've been fans of San Antonio while they were winning those rings. So it's not like, we became fans of San Antonio when Luke Cornett got there, and now we're claiming that, oh, we're the 5-time champion San Antonio Spurs. Luke Cornett's got to rep the franchise at some point, but still, to say, he could have said the organization, I guess he said we're all kind of in the same ballpark there, but still, a little bit of he already put himself on the same level as, the best players in the team. So, I don't know what he's doing there, but the point is this voice memo situation was from 4 days ago. So we have a list of teams here from, again, 4 days ago. This is just recently. This is the list of teams that he had with San Antonio. And it was said he also was linked to Philly, Cleveland, Golden State, Denver, Miami, and Minnesota. Well, chat, they've updated this apparently within the last 20 hours. And it says now Rich Paul, again, within the last 20 hours, Rich Paul has LeBron has all the information he needs to make a decision. And then the teams that he's reported to be deciding between: Miami, Golden State, Cleveland, Minnesota, Denver, and Philadelphia. San Antonio's off the list. Hey, yo, it is what it is. So I don't know what all the information needed means, but I think he got that Luke Cornett voice memo and was like, thank you, no thank you. I'm out of here. So Luke Cornett has not only cost us the NBA Finals, but he's cost us LeBron James. Hey, yo, Luke Cornett may be going into the running for the worst Spur in San Antonio history. I hate to say it. Hey, yo. Again, it's been a very successful century for San Antonio. I also hate to say this, but it is a factor of, you have good players, having possessions in big moments. But a lot of some of the moments in San Antonio history that you go back and look at, like, oh, that one hurts. It was like kind of a legendary guy. Like, obviously, Ginobili, I hate to even say it, Chad. I hate to even say it. It is what it is. But maybe I can say it because I was telling somebody today about the legend of Manu Ginobili. I was like, this person doesn't even care. But I was like, I'm just talking about Ginobili. It is what it is. But we were talking about World Cup in Argentina, and I was like, oh, have you ever heard of the story of Manu Ginobili? Speaking of Argentina. But again, he did have a little bit of was it a foul or a turnover? He had a play there in a Game 7 against Dallas. I think it was a foul. And then, there was obviously, Pop not having Duncan in the last couple minutes there of that finals game against Miami. I guess we'd have to go back and see, like who was guarding the inbound against LA. Was that 04 that happened? 03, one of those years that, again, I'm not even gonna say his name but I can't even say the amount of time that's left, Chad, too. I still don't even believe it. Hey, yo, like, it's not who was operating the clock is really we need a pause. Is who we need to figure out at that time, because 0.4 seconds left. How do you even hit a jumper with 0.4 seconds? Hey, yo, a 3-pointer, like you get a lob near the basket or something, but how do you hit like a full-on turnaround 3-point jumper with less than a half a second left? I have no idea, but we need to get a sports science on that. But rest in peace to sports science. But again, there isn't like the random one-off guy in San Antonio that's like, oh, he had the foul here, he had the mistake here, he had the moment here. Again, it was, San Antonio for better or worse, and because we won 5 titles, it was for way, way better. But I'm just saying, in terms of the legends of who could be that player in San Antonio history, there really isn't. And then when we do, again, maybe it's just, Spurs fan base is awesome, but the role guys do get really remembered really fondly. Again, I only have fond memories of guys like Patty Mills, Boris Diaw, Danny Green. Again, obviously those guys were all on a title team there, but even before that, Fabricio Eberto. Hey, yo, chat. And name a role guy for San Antonio. Bruce Bowen. Again, all these guys won titles. Again, because Spurs were awesome, but there wasn't just there hasn't been a Luke Cornett before Luke Cornett in San Antonio. I'm trying to think, I guess those types of guys would be known for the franchises specifically. I can think of more of some of the NFL names, like, I guess it's Ernest Biner. There's an Ernest Biner, and then is there an Ernest Buckner or something like that? There's the fumble that the Browns have. I guess we can't remember the NFL names. like we're saying. But I think that guy was pretty good as well too. Again, maybe that's a bummer for him being the guy known for the fumble there, obviously. But it's not like we're talking. Again, a Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker level guy. Obviously, top 100 player in the history of the league at that point. The NFL's a little bit more expansive, but still, the correlation I feel like is still, not quite the same at that point. But, we haven't had a guy just fouling and making plays and sending out voice memos like Luke Cornett before this. So he's Luke Cornett, you're testing the waters, buddy. Hey, yo. We need we need like we need that from like a movie scene or something. I don't know. Does somebody drop a good like, hey buddy, in a movie scene, and then we can have that for Luke Cornett when he starts acting up? Hey yo, Luke Cornett is do we need to have a least favorite? I guess this is kind of good for our analysis in some ways because we do lean a little too positive sometimes. Pause. Hey yo. We get a little over, I guess that's not a bad thing, but it does seem like maybe sometimes, it's like, draft time and stuff. It's like, okay, is anybody not going to be the best player ever when talking about the draft? But, I guess we found, and maybe, we need guys to go to San Antonio and not have, LeBron, not pitch to LeBron so he leaves. But, it's like they immediately have to update the list with 3 hours later where they're like, okay, teams in the running, basically just reminding us not San Antonio anymore. It is what it is, which again makes the most sense from a basketball standpoint. It is what it is. But, I kind of think Philly might be the team. I don't know. We've been saying it, but, Golden State again's got the commercial value we know there. And then Denver and Minnesota are sleepers. It is what it is. I think, we said he has the hometown biased for, he does obviously have the hometown bias for Cleveland, but that is why I guess the hometown respect for Cleveland is why they're on the list at this point. Like he's never going to officially write Cleveland, off the list at the last minute. He'll just make the decision with Cleveland being one of the final finalists. Is, obviously going to be the way that plays out. Maybe Miami is a little bit in that situation as well too, because he does have some history there. I don't know, but I just don't think they quite, have enough if he goes there. It is Miami, so as always, even if he doesn't go there, they do have the ability to, hopefully for their sake, if you're looking from their perspective, hopefully they would have the ability to get some of those developmental guys to get to that really productive level that they've been able to manage over the last couple of seasons, for a while now in the Spoelstra run. And then, you have LeBron now as like a real third option. Again, you still have Wiggins. Like there are still some really good pieces there as well. But I do think LeBron, does have the right to pick, like, hot take, pick the best option possible. And, let's be honest, that's not always been a case. It is what it is. It's not a case now, as much as, and maybe it is a little bit more of a case, I guess, now that, the player empowerment era has, have us, that we're so used to the movement and the way that these guys team up now as well too. And again, the league is talented. So not to say that the 2017 Warriors wouldn't just destroy the league still. I mean, it is what it is. It just shows you how good that team is. But I guess there may not be a 2017 Warriors to put together at this point. I guess would it be Jokic and Giannis and Tatum? Like if all three of those guys played together, and I guess, Jokic and Giannis are in their 30s as well too. I guess it would be like Tatum and Brunson and Luka playing together or something like that. Whoever a third player would be there, though. Luka maybe a little in a generation behind those guys. I don't know. But, something along those lines, I guess. But, either way, for the Miami team, I just don't think that they quite have, that certified lock it in, competing for a title. I guess because of Giannis, like we're saying, they're just going to be in the playoff mix. I think they'll be in the 50-win mix, but the 4-round playoff run type of situation. And as much as we love Giannis as well too, still arguably, behind Wemby, pause, one of our favorite players in the league at this point. But I still, the injuries are what they are. And, him again being in his 30s and, it's not like, again, you're obviously, speaking of LeBron, hey, you could have had that question about him later on in his career. And I guess he did get there at some point as well, too. This Lakers run obviously hasn't been like the most durable for him. Again, he is obviously, on the side of 30s and into the 40s where it's like just him being out there and as productive as he is obviously super impressive. I guess, it's not like, LeBron can barely walk. Oh, how is he playing basketball? But, again, obviously, according to what we've seen in NBA history before, it is pretty rare. Hey, but, for again, Giannis, I don't know if Giannis is just like the lock same way to be the 4-round playoff guy from a health standpoint that he has been in the past. Again, well, a couple years past at this point, but still, whatever that maximum value would have been. And even in the finals run, part of the impressiveness, I guess, of the finals run was the fact that he did have some injuries that he did overcome there. I'm trying to think, was it the Eastern Conference Finals against Atlanta that he had like a crazy ankle injury? And then, even in the finals itself, maybe that flared back up as well too, and just powered through and obviously just continued to have great performances and just added to the storyline. But there was still obviously injuries that were there. And yes, every guy does get banged up, in some way going, into the playoffs like that. But I guess again, why is San Antonio on the list or not on the list in LeBron, right? Or why is San Antonio not on the list in Miami is, I guess, is basically the question that we're asking. And again, there's only one reason. It's Luke Cornett. But again, I think Miami is, maybe getting a little bit of the respect factor there. But there is something about Minnesota that is starting to worry me a little bit. And I wouldn't have necessarily thought like, LeBron wants to go to Minnesota, but that is maybe the reason that I'm worried is because they're like in the finals like this far. Because Denver is still, hot. Well, I guess we're just talking like the stereotypes, the way you talk about these cities. These are all great cities. Hey, Minnesota is actually great. So, it's not like, LeBron's going to be like Damian Lillard. Like, I guess Lillard never had like a blog post, but it's not like going to be like LeBron's like having blog posts about like, I'm in my hotel in Minnesota. There's nothing to do. I guess, did we ever get like the, I guess I was going to say the Lonely Hotel freestyle. That might be a little bit of a pause. And again, obviously I think we probably should tread lightly because it's not like Dame Lillard was just talking about from an NBA perspective at that point. There was more going on. So again, we tread lightly. But, it's not like, LeBron is, going to start being like, oh, what am I going to do in Minnesota? There's nothing to do. But, again, he'll be playing basketball as well, too. So I'm sure, he'll find something. But, same with, Denver as well. But Denver, I guess with Jokic, maybe there is a little legacy standpoint. I don't know. But I do kind of think that maybe, and, Jokic is definitely, at the lowest in terms of just the vibes that he's been in the last half decade, but there is a little bit of, do you say I don't want to say respect lost, but there is a little bit of a neutralizing factor, I guess. Like Wemby is a problem for Jokic. It is what it is, and I guess maybe even more so than that. Now looking back at the last half decade, Rudy Gobert is a problem for Jokic, and there have been some playoff shortcomings there where he doesn't necessarily have the same sort of oh man, how do you stop this guy sort of situation? And there is like, okay, you have a center, obviously, a multi-time defensive player of the year, both capable of stopping Jokic, but it is like, okay, there is some matchups there that do work. And I guess for the Minnesota standpoint, that is interesting as well, too, because you would have your Jokic stopper and then basically, just out-dueling San Antonio for the rest of it. Edwards is basically kind of your Wemby neutralizer in some weird way, and then again, the veteranism of LeBron over like Harper, I guess, next year. And then LaMelo is more exciting on offense than Castle is better on defense, I guess, is basically the way that lines up. But there is just a vibe between that duo there that you can't deny. And as much as, Murray and Jokic have the steady sort of obviously professional, just success rate over the last couple of years, again, you can't deny how good that combo is and how well that they complement each other offensively as well. Like that, there isn't a more just visually a visual center point guard lineup in the NBA that makes more sense. I mean, that's probably a little hyperbolic. Again, you could have Halliburton there, you could have Steph there, you could have a couple guys there that Brunson, again, probably a lot of guys that could play next to Jokic. But just Murray's ability to move off the ball and not be as reliant as, or not be as a point guard focused as some of those guys is, just a nice compliment to Jokic, who is that type of guy. But there is just a spark that LaMelo and, Anthony Edwards have. It is what it is. You can't deny it. There is just a personality thing there, and Edwards is obviously, he's continued to be one of our most feared competitors going up against him over the last couple of years. Even if he was injured in the playoffs this year in San Antonio, we're, one over him. Maybe we do a Western Conference fear rankings after, LeBron signs. We did do that a little bit in the playoffs last year, but I could make a case that Edwards is still just my number one most feared guy to go up against in the playoffs, just because I think, again, it's just any minute, obviously. And again, that's like, I guess Steph is probably there as well too, but it would be the Warriors factor of them not getting there. But, again, just the irrational confidence that, not irrational, but just in the way that term is used in sports. But, that's what's scary about Edwards, the rational confidence, because he's so good, but just the confidence that he has to outduel anybody. That is the one thing that I guess, and there was a little bit of that, maybe not 100% there the way I thought in the last playoffs, but I will say that's, I'll make the injury excuse for him there. So maybe now we're officially in the media chat. We can get our degree now because we're making an injury excuse for a guy. So Edwards was hurt. That's why he didn't play well. We'll just say that. But there is, I do wonder if he just makes like I'm not saying like a last minute decision, but again, LaMelo wasn't on this team going into the offseason, obviously. And Jaylen Brown wasn't on Philly either. And that does, like, for us to make Philly way more tempting as an option, of course. But, again, LaMelo wasn't on Minnesota. And I think Philly would have been in the running anyway because it's Philly. And again, I don't think Minnesota would have been in the running before LaMelo. We could go back and double check the trade timeline to make sure that is right, that they had LaMelo afterwards. But I do think that, again, that was a part of the trade. If it's Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards, again, no disrespect to Anthony Edwards, obviously, don't kill the Spurs in the playoffs. But I don't think LeBron goes to Minnesota or has Minnesota in contention if it's Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards and LeBron James next to or Julius Randle and Gobert next to Anthony Edwards, with LeBron. I just don't think that is as tempting to him. But, and I guess maybe you could say, also with Miami and Giannis, there is that, I guess, Pat Riley Miami factor that they were just kind of a name that has to be mentioned anyways. And, again, Golden State's been in the conversation because of Steph. And the Denver core obviously would have been there before anyways. So it's just kind of the cap space. And then him being like, oh, I guess, yeah, also being willing to sign a more favorable deal as well. It's just like, well, then just let me play with the best players at that point. Obviously, again, Jokic would be that. But maybe I am down between Minnesota and Philly at this point. Maybe I think Golden State's out, honestly. Because I do think that he's looking at this thinking like he can, again, all the information he needs. Like, I think he thinks that he can still win a title, of course. Hey, yo. Like, I know that I saw somebody say that was like, oh, LeBron's going to be a non-factor next year. Like, we have to be ready for that. Maybe there is a regular season management because he did miss some of he did miss some of the award stuff this year. And now because there is a actual like strict limitation, there is an NBA discussion point that can be made, I guess. That's like, again, 40, it's not like 2-year-old LeBron wasn't making all NBA just because. It's like, well, they had to manage his minutes and because of the game restrictions, obviously he can't get in now. So, there is like a built-in excuse in a way, I guess, for LeBron specifically. He's the one guy that actually has it as an excuse. Again, for the other guys, it's a barrier to entry at this point. But, for the Golden State side of things, if he actually wants to win a title, Golden State just doesn't make sense. It is what it is. That's like Miami. It's just him and Steph is just not quite enough at this point, unless he is, we say this with all due respect, unless he's a little overvaluating his own impact at this point, and not say that he's not an impactful player, but he just doesn't play defense. So as much as he can still, outduel these guys on offense in some ways, just you have to get stops if you're going to win a championship. Hey, Coach Rem over here. But, you got to lock in. You got to, 3-point stances offensively. But, shuffle the feet. What are some of those drills that, Nick Nolte is running in Blue Chips? We might have to go back and see some of those scenes and, drop those quotes in there. But, like we're saying, point being, And they had some good stuff in the offseason as well too. Again, Yaxel, Pods is fun. Like there may be some moves to be made to get them a little closer, but they're also in the West. If you're going to be in the West, like you probably just want to be on the better team. So, if you're in the West and if it's LeBron and Steph versus Minnesota, like you still probably think Minnesota could win that series. So, again, I think LeBron actually has the ability to ring chase and go to the best team possible. And the vibe of LaMelo and Edwards, I don't know. It may be captivating. I'm not sure. There have been the times in the past, like when LeBron first got to the Lakers, and obviously, he was that team wasn't as competitive as this Minnesota team was in terms of winning. But that was a more, obviously younger, just put together team at that point. But he was like, this is not going to do. We have to trade everybody and get, veteran players and get Anthony Davis. Basically just trade everybody under 25 for Anthony Davis and just rebuild the roster that way. But maybe there is, a little bit of a different factor at this point where he does kind of want the, he does need the sort of extra, energy, I guess. And just have the, have the youthfulness around it might be good. But, again, even I think if he goes to Denver, that's, a little bit more of a tougher series for Minnesota, but still that does just become a pretty even matchup. But if LeBron's in Minnesota, I think you're looking at all of this series, at least on the teams here, looking at all those series, I think Minnesota does become the best of the three Western Conference teams. And is San Antonio and OKC just, they're going to be what they're going to be. So unless you join those teams, you're going to have to go through those teams. Again, with all due respect to LeBron, I don't think there is a team in the NBA that LeBron does get close to San Antonio and OKC, but maybe Minnesota would be the one, honestly. Maybe Minnesota would be the... Is LeBron going to be on the Timberwolves, Chad? Who would have thought? Because, again, at least Philly is a big market team as well, too. I'm not trying to disrespect Minnesota. It's just like, if LeBron in his career outside of Cleveland played for LA, Miami, and Philly, you'd be like, okay, there is, a triangulation there that makes sense. But, throw Minnesota into the mix, pause. And there is something about their logo now as well, too. I don't know. They did redo the color scheme a little bit. I don't know if they went a little cooler with the gray. And then, I don't know, something with the blues. There is a little bit of a different look to the logo. Did they redo their jerseys? Let's see here. Timberwolves jerseys. I think maybe they're just going with the throwbacks, pause. Because LaMelo was introduced. Oh, here we go. Here we got some LaMelo introductory pictures here. They do have I think a little bit more throwback look, like we're saying, going on. Let's see what we got. Oh, they only have him in the one jersey kit here right now, which maybe this maybe is their home. I don't know, or they're away. I for some reason never remember how the jerseys work, but I think it is different for every team as well too, because like New York's wearing their blue jerseys a lot this playoff run. I feel like they were mixing that up home and road. I'm not sure, but either way, you have this light blue with the green font situation here for Minnesota, I guess. And then we do also have some more of the 2000 situations here. This is what I was thinking about, the black jerseys with the pine tree trim on them, which are cool. Those are, of course, like we say, go back to sort of the Garnett days there. So I think they'll probably have those in the mix a little bit as well too. But I don't know, Chet. That would be a little bit of a flashy Showtime team for him to go to. And I think that maybe is, I don't know, there is something about that. If Minnesota is still around, then he maybe is obviously trying to go that way. But like we're saying, Philly is the historical team as well too. So you definitely can't count that out for him wanting to turn that around and wanting to get a ring there as well too. They did say, maybe the other thing I was getting me a little worried as well too is they were saying that Tyrese Maxey, not to say that Tyrese Maxey isn't capable of leading the recruitment, and I think that again, Philly's pitch is going to be good enough that hopefully whoever pitched it maybe wouldn't be able to mess it up. But if you are in a pitch scenario versus LaMelo and Edwards versus Tyrese Maxey, again, that's just tough for anybody. I don't know who's going to be more convincing in some ways than LaMelo and Edwards. I guess the only way they're not is if, they just don't prepare a pitch. and they just go in and they're just like, oh, just join the team. Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be cool. But then Maxey has like a PowerPoint presentation or something like that. Philly's got them all set to go with like a real presentation. But it was like, hey, yo, Rich Paul got the voice memo from Luke Cornett, and he's like, okay, let's reissue this statement here real quick. Sorry, San Antonio, but you're out of the running. It is what it is. But, it was an honor to be in the LeBron sweepstakes this long, so we'll take a pause. What is that? We'll say we were the 7th team. Hey, yo, decision 3.0, we were in 7th place. So that's not bad. Again, we just lost the finals. We have Wemby. We're 7th in the LeBron sweepstakes. Like, we could be, there are teams that are in worse places. Again, I guess, how does New York factor in there? Because Rich Paul did say that if if they did win the title, he was 100% going to New York. So I don't know if the Spurs saved the league. Imagine though that would be the double pause, like just the double hurt for San Antonio. Like, not only do the triple hurt, hey yo, but not only do you lose the finals, but the finals means LeBron's gonna go to the West because they got LaMelo because he can't go to New York. So he's gonna go to Minnesota, but also he can't go to San Antonio because Luke Cornett just had a dumb voice memo. Hey, yo. So, it is what it is. We'll continue to keep an eye on the LeBron sweepstakes here, but we may be shifting our opinion from Philly to Minnesota. I'm not sure. Just again, stay tuned. We'll probably shift it again on the next live stream. So, LeBron watch day 35, because it'll go into August, I think. Well, I guess if he has all the decision, it's all up to him now. But there is still some, I guess, free agency that could play out a little bit. Has like Jalen Duren and stuff signed yet, so there are still some names that are out there. I don't know if like Duren's gonna go to any of these teams. Maybe, because is Jared Allen on an expiring? So if there was maybe like some Duren for Jared Allen situation, like if they started to try to get a little fancy, I don't know. Maybe Golden State goes and gets Duren. Who's to say? Gobert for Duren. Hey yo. But that'd be crazy. Duren, LeBron. I guess you still have to have Gobert because of now. Again, they've actually done Minnesota here multiple times in the playoffs. But yeah, I guess that might be, and that might be another reason, like we're saying, again, just Minnesota's had the upper hand against Denver. Hey yo. So, or the Globetrotters, like we're saying, have LeBron have a roster spot open for LeBron as well too. But there was some other news that we were tracking. Again, we have been obviously on LeBron watch, but we were speculating again because the McGregor fight, if we're pivoting to UFC 329 here real quick. And again, this, well, not to continue to talk about the UFC and to shed light on the sport there, but for to continue to do our journalistic duties and to investigate. We were a little suspicious if Conor McGregor maybe was involved in some activities. Was there some Sonny Liston activities involved in the fight there? It did seem like there was a legit knee injury taking place. Hey, yo. But maybe there was some more, more shady mechanics going on than we thought as well, too. I guess I don't even know if this is AI or not as well. But there was this post apparently that said from this guy Josh on Air, which, I guess we didn't go verify on X. We have to re-download that. But, my UFC, it says here, the post on IG says, my UFC credential has already been revoked, so I've got nothing to lose. Here's the truth. Conor, quote, this is all quoting, Conor and team informed Dana early in the week that he had a knee injury. Dana told him the show must go on, no refunds. Because of the financial implications, McGregor was forced to try. People inside became aware that McGregor was compromised, and that's why the betting line moved significantly prior to walkouts. So if you remember, again, I didn't look at the line up until hearing about it, like we said on the live stream, hearing about it maybe 4 hours before the main card was to start. I'm trying to think, maybe 3 hours before the main card was to start. Some of the friends I was with looked up the odds, and then they told me what the odds were because, they were just talking about it. But yeah, I didn't look it up before. But at that time, it was like minus 325 for Holloway. And like I was saying, I thought that maybe Holloway was going to win the fight, but still, to be that convincing on the odds is pretty crazy. But then we went and looked at Sonny Liston's odds, and he was like 8-1 versus Muhammad Ali. So, again, maybe the odds haven't always been right. But, in that fight, well, you're saying it might also, Sonny Lee might have been corrupted there. But Sonny, not Sonny Lee, Chad. Hey, Sonny Liston. Hey, shout out to Sonny Lee. But what are we saying for somebody's on the mind? I guess people inside. Became aware that McGregor was compromised. We're just getting back into the quote there, bad timing. But and that's why the betting line moves quickly prior to walkouts. Okay. But since in excess of 80% of the bets and money legally wagered were on McGregor, this allowed UFC sportsbook partners to win tens of millions in profits from unsuspecting and uninformed customers. Shameful, disgusting business practices for the sake of pure greed at all the expenses of their own fans. Now, also, we do have to wonder why 80% of the bets were on McGregor, because the man hasn't fought in years and hasn't really looked that great in years. So, again, obviously, in the past, I've been as, what do you say? You say supportive and stuff of McGregor. Hey, not that, but just in terms of, acknowledging his fight talent, I would say I would probably have him ranked higher in fight talent than most actual UFC people would, because again, we just are more mainstream with the UFC fighters that we follow, and he was one of the earlier guys that we were watching. But now it's like this, even the last couple of fights, I may have been holding out hope, but it was like he's probably not gonna win this, and then this one it was like if he really for some reason is just back and just catches fire somehow, then maybe there is that way. But Holloway's been on a pretty decent run here, and has just been an active fighter recently as well. Again, McGregor has just been hurt and recovering. So, for the fact that 80%, honestly, that's the reason that makes me think that this is fake, because I was like, wait, is that true? 80% of the bets were on McGregor, and Holloway is like a liked guy as well, like in the UFC circles, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong there, but I don't know, like, again, especially now, like, is McGregor more liked than Holloway? But maybe, again, the more casual UFC fan, I don't know. But, either way, again, maybe we were not necessarily 100% right. Maybe we thought it was like McGregor outside of the UFC or something. But no, it just turns out Dana White as well, too, is in the mob. So, Dana White's like, no knee injury. I guess maybe that's why we were looking up the salary claims that McGregor was making $30 million for this fight. Dana White's just like, okay, well, even if you're not, going to be able to actually physically go here, you're just, we'll just pay you $30 million and then just limp around for a little bit. Again, Holloway as well, too, was very, very nice in that fight. Like, we do have to think about that. He did, the ref did let it go for a little bit. I guess the ref could have stepped in right away, but the ref did step in fast. I mean, again, even if the ref, you don't really have to have the ref in on it, because, once the fight, once you realize in the first minute the fight's not going to happen and McGregor's limping around, like, really, as the ref, you have no choice but to go in and call the fight. So you just kind of, have the ref do his job at that point, and it'll take, that'll take care of itself. We'll plan out this mob logistics here for Dana White unintentionally on the live stream. But again, I think it was just all the UFC chat. It looks like it was just it turns out, who would have thought that UFC is corrupt? But McGregor chat, who, like we said, who would have thought? But it was like, okay, something is going on here. I know that it could be a fluke thing, a fighter tearing a knee, but I don't know. There's just maybe it is the fluke of all flukes. Like we said, McGregor does have some karmic stuff out there. Maybe it's the karma of all karma to have, again, not to say that, two pretty significant injuries, if it is a knee, blowing out his knee, and then to have that leg shatter like that in the last fight, like, those are not like, good injuries, obviously, but it's not like, oh, McGregor did something and like tweaked a hammy, so I'm not gonna say here's the injury correlation for whatever happened here, but I'm just saying, like, again, there is just juju out there, I guess, for that type of stuff. But either way, to have it happen that soon into the fight, and then him to slip, like, I don't know, the fact that he threw it again, like, there's just no reason to throw it again. Hey, it is what it is. So I don't know, chat. We'll continue to investigate. We'll send the journalists out and see if we can get a Rem and Sam feature on the situation, because there is definitely something that is going on here. Again, maybe we get Josh on air to call in and tell us, what is going on here. Hey, yo, we got Ray Liotta running the UFC now, or what's it? Henry Hill, I guess is his name. Jimmy, I almost said Jimmy Cooks. What's that guy's name? What's the other guy's name? Is it Jimmy Connors? Hey, not Jimmy Connors. Jimmy Connors is a tennis player. Hey, yo, what is Robert De Niro's name in Goodfellas? I guess it's Jimmy something. Jimmy, maybe it's just, do they just say Jimmy? Maybe? I don't know. Let's see what we got here. But I guess he would have some real life basis. Jimmy Conway. There we go. They got him listed as the lead here. I mean, as much as we love De Niro, hey, yo, you got to give, Liotta his props. Rest in peace. It's his movie. It is what it is. He's a star. But James Conway is the man. So not Jimmy Cooks or not James Conner. Do we need to do a Jimmy C rankings, chat? Hey, yo, do we have a Jimmy C Mount Rushmore? Jimmy Cooks, James Conner, Jimmy Conner. I think I'm right about that. I think he might be like a 70s era tennis player. I haven't gone and looked up 70s era tennis in a minute. But yeah, Jimmy Connors is one of the guys from back in the day. He was ranked number 1 in the world for 268 weeks. So, I guess I was going to say about a year. That would be days. That's much more than a year there. So, impressive run for Connors, obviously, at the top of his sport. McEnroe, Arthur Ashe, I guess who else was in the 70s? Chat Bjorn Borg. See, there's some 70s tennis knowledge in the subconscious there that, we could unlock if we needed to. A little 70s tennis deep dive in the summer, chat. I guess we did just have the Wimbledon finals end. We could have done something for that. But yeah, then we need a third Jimmy C. DM us at REMINGTOM on Instagram and let us know who is the third Jimmy C on the Mount Rushmore for Jimmy Cooks, Jimmy Connors, Jimmy Conway, and who else do we have there? But yeah, it looks like there will be more, I guess, to follow, or not. It'll probably just get buried because they're tied in with even a bigger mob, the UFC. But like I said, there's just more mob workings going on there. It is what it is. But yeah, I think again, in terms of news, we have not a lot going on at this point with free agency stall and NFL. In the early parts of the summer stuff here, we do. Is this the NHL scoreboard? What am I looking up here? Hey, yeah, we're just literally just wandering the halls of ESPN, just like, is there any sports around here? Hey, yo, do you guys have anything going on? But no, summer league, we do. We get summer league. Hey, yo, nobody playing right now. Ade Mara for Michigan is like, top 5 most most entertaining players for summer league. But no, Caleb Wilson continues to impress as well too. Really, honestly, this might be, I'm not going to say this is like our Mahomes 2.0 because this is, he was consensus top 4 pick in the draft, but he has been pretty impressive. So, that is it is a fun thing to obviously, see the production happen right away. Oh, Phylon for Philly with 17 tonight. Again, their first round pick, even if they don't have LeBron, getting Jaylen Brown, but just your first round pick this year, again, he could hopefully should be, good scorer from at least off the bench next to Maxey. But, there could be those moments as well, too. And Edgecombe, but, there's those moments they could play those 3 guys together, potentially. And Denham, continues to have some nice stats here in Summer League. Brooklyn just cooking away, chat. 2-1. Hey, yo. Imagine Brooklyn walking away from Summer League with like a nice little, okay, Igor Denham, is he like a 20 and, 18 and 8 type of guy? Like maybe like a taller, oh, chat. Oh, I think I have the comp. Wait a second. Let me get a drink of water. Okay, chat, I think I have the comp. Wait a second. I need the height real quick because I forgot how tall he is. Let's see what we have got going on here. I want to say he was like 6'8", but I could be wrong about that. Let's see, 6'9". So he's 6'9", Goran Dragic. Hey, yo, how about 6'9" Goran Dragic? That's not bad. That's not a bad player. Again, speaking of, terrible Spurs moments, again, we have 5 titles, so we're able to overlook it. But that's another one that really grinds my gears, chat. Hey, yo, somehow Goran Dragic just wiped us out of the first round of the playoffs. I still don't really know how that happened. I still don't think that did happen, but they do talk about it. So I guess it did. It did happen at some point. But yeah, maybe continues to get the efficiency up there as well too. But kind of that 18-8. Maybe again not like a crazy defender, but crafty offensive player, good at setting guys up. Maybe somehow manages to find points when you need him to. So we still believe Denham and Danny Wolf. It could be a good draft class for Brooklyn last year. They still have something there. And then Brown maybe can hit as well too. Brazil for Denver going off a little bit tonight. 25, lock it in, starter next year. I don't know about that, but we obviously get hyped up. But the fun performance is small for Memphis with 26 and 7 as well. They really got Golden State in this one. Hey, 106 to 85. A lot of film and game planning are going to have to go into this next game for Golden State Summer League. That is for sure. But hey, chat, we got a game. We got a game to play. Hey, we do love a game. Real quick. Well, should we save the game? Should we save the game for later? Should we do one run of the game quick? Let's do one run of the game, and maybe we could do another run later, because I forgot we do have another. We have one more thing to look at here as well. But I did see this. This is the next version of 82-0. At least it's supposed to be. We'll see if it happens. Catches on. But it's 73-9, and the idea is you get a cap. You get a salary cap, and you have to try to beat a team that would simulate a team that would get past the Warriors record. Obviously, instead of going 82-0, you basically just have to go 73-9 with the salary cap. But you get $100 million. It does say that it's teams from 1990 plus, so I don't know. Hoopsmatic. Why is 1970s and 80s and 50s and 60s basketball not good enough? Basically half of the best players of all time are from there. But the 05-06 Warriors, and again, we only have $100 million for 5 spots. So, hot take, we're good at, I guess, or not hot take, but, math corner, we have $20 million to spend per player. If we're going 73-9, chat, unfortunately, I don't know if an 05-06 Warrior is going to be on this team. We do get Monte Ellis, a 6-point a game Monte Ellis for $1 million. Chat. Hey, $1 million salary cap is not bad. A Donald Foyle, $24 million, 4 points a game. Hey, Troy Murphy, $24 million, 24.6, 14 points a game. We honestly might have to go Dunleavy here. I know we may not get a lockdown defender, but I think he can compete. And he's, efficient 3-point shooter, $15 million. He might be the only, because as much as I love Jason Richardson at $30 million is going to be getting close. Baron Davis at 45. I don't know if he's going to make the team, unfortunately. It is what it is. Though we do love Baron Davis's game. Shout out. It's somehow between Dunleavy and Jason Richardson. Let's go with one sort of fun version first. And then if we have to go with the Dunleavy smart team building version next time, then it is what it is. We learn. But 06-07 Milwaukee. Okay, Michael Redd at $41.2 million. Again, maybe just a little too much. It is what it is. So somehow we have to build this team to go 73-9 with no star players. I don't know how that is really going to work out here. It is what it is. But Ersan Ilyasova at 2.1. We may honestly have to go Ilyasova and just save money for the star. Though we can get Villanueva at $8. $8, $8 mil is not bad. Ruben Patterson at 21.1 million. Hey, 05-06 Ruben Patterson. Hey, Maurice Williams at 6 million as well too. Or Charlie Villanueva at 8 million. I guess let's just go Maurice Williams at 6 million. Why not? Maybe give us a little leeway for the next 96-97 Brooklyn Nets. We have a second team all rookie, Kerry Kittles. That's honestly not bad. Kendall Gill at 25. So the rookie contract is going to be helpful here, chat. Hey, it is good to get, I guess, because of the years, you do need a team with a good rookie to get the rookie contract. Because otherwise we're going to get Sean Bradley on like a $34 million contract here. And maybe kind of, ruin the vibe of the team. Reggie Williams for 13.4. Ed O'Bannon, the guy that took away NCAA sports when he sued the NCAA for 8.8 million on his contract here as well. I think we have to go Kerry Kittles. Hey, so this is kind of okay. This is working out a little bit. This is not bad. Oh, we had Chicago. I thought it was maybe Michael Jordan, but no, it's 0708. Ben Gordon at 14.5. Lock it in. Though we do have Luol Deng as well, too, at 10. That might be the mark. Kurt Heinrich, 33.4. Are these real numbers? Hey, Kurt Heinrich wasn't making $33.4 million a year in 06 or 07, 08, was he? Hey, yo. Do we have to go pocket watch Kirk Heinrich real fast? Because, I mean, he was a good player, but I don't think he ever made an all-star game or anything. So I guess maybe this game is going to be hampered by the fact that it's just bogus, Chad. Hey, yo, like, what is this? Kirk Heinrich, like, I guess I don't have to have Kirk Heinrich on this team, but I just don't understand the mechanics if he's not making $30.4 million. Kirk Heinrich, I guess. Name's pretty simple to spell there. I don't know why we have to double check, but let's see here. For Chicago, he had a 2-year 5, 2-year 8 million, 5-year 47 million. He was making $9 million a year. So yeah, the most he ever made was $9 million a year. So why is Kirk Heinrich 30? Why is he 20% of the cap in this game? That makes no sense. So we could also get Joakim Noah at 6.3 million as well too. Hey, 3.8% of the cap? So they just assign their own value here as well. That's a little strange. Oh, Larry Hughes. Oh, 35.6 mil, 21.6% of the cap. Why is Larry Hughes a quarter of the cap? Hey, yo. I don't think his contract was that big. So pause. So let's go Luol Deng. That's not bad. Jason, we need 1-star player. Let's see who we get here. We have enough for some respins as well too. Oh, we get Joe Johnson. Boom, chat. Lock it in. Lock it in. This has to be at least a 50-win team. Joe Johnson, Jason Richardson, Kerry Kittles, Luol Deng, and Maurice Williams. I guess we are a little undersized. We don't have a center, really. But, small ball, where we'll, enter... Pause. We'll bring it into the league earlier. Then, well, I guess it's now, right? Or are we simulating this season in 25-26? 39 and 43! Hey, yo! Lottery bound? Chat, what is this? Is this all time versus all era 5s? We're 107.6 points a game. So, versus. Also, wait, are we playing the Warriors team like 82 times? Is that what this is? Versus, so we're 39 and 43, but versus the 2015-16 Warriors, 9.2% of games won. Average margin minus 12.7 points. Best squad you could have signed would win 16.6. So the Warriors is just that good, I guess. Beating them would take a top 1% team. You're 12.7 points a game short. So we need to get to the points per game, I guess, is essentially what it is. Oh, what is this? Best squad we could have signed? Oh, Al Horford? We needed Al Horford on this team? Hey, yo. So wait a second. How is Al Horford a better signing than Joe Johnson? I guess we could have gone Kendall Gill. Wait, did we go Kendall Gill? No, we went Kerry Kittles instead of Kendall Gill. Okay, this is interesting information telling us the best lineup that we could have had here. Hey, yo. Okay. Giving us a little game planning to go here. It says their record would have been 47 and 35. So I guess our best lineup wouldn't have been that great either way. So I guess we have to play again real quick. So I guess you just kind of get screwed out of, you just can't beat the 2015-16 Warriors is essentially how it goes. Okay, so points per game here. We just need to maximize points per game. Ryan Anderson at 12. Anthony Davis. What am I doing? Anthony Davis is here at 15.1 million. Boom. This is the best value. We're off to a great start here. And we have like a real center. Well, I guess we don't because Anthony Davis doesn't want to play center. But we do have a front court player now this time. Okay, the 94-95 Denver Nuggets. Muhammad Abdur-Rauf at 22.7, 16 points a game. Otherwise, we're looking at Dale Ellis, 10 million at 11.4. Our guy Jalen Rose, 10 mil, 8.3. But we are just trying to, I guess, get scoring here as well. So Robert Pack, 12 for 11 million. That might not be bad. $1 million per point per game is pretty good value here. Let's see, chat. Let's see. LaFonso Ellis, no. He might be off the list as well. I don't know. Does the defense from Dikembe help? I feel like if we have Dikembe and Davis, that front line is pretty crazy. I mean, the 2017 Warriors, that might, was the Steven Adams, it was that Thunder team that was giving them trouble. So we would need to land Durant and Westbrook as well, too. But that gives us a pretty good, replacement for the Steven Adams and, Ennis Freedom lineup that they had there with Davis and Dikembe Mutombo. But let's go Reggie Williams, I guess, at 13 a game, 9% of the cap. And, see if that is the best play there. We have the 13-14 New York Knicks. Do we have Melo? We do have Melo. He is over 30% of the cap. Hey, yo. Tyson Chandler is 25% of the cap. Amari Stoudemire, 37% of the cap, $61 million for 12 points per game. Hey, yo. If we want to replicate this New York Knicks team, obviously we could, re-sign him. But, maybe we go Tim Hardaway, 10 points a game for 3.4. Oh, chat. Ayo, I can't not have Melo on this team. I mean, I know it would probably ruin our cap. We would have $8 million left. But Davis and Melo, I mean, screw it. We got to have stars to beat this Warriors team. It is what it is. Melo at the power forward, Davis at the center. Yeah, let's go. Oh, of course we lose out on Michael Jordan, who is unaffordable. How can you not afford Michael Jordan in this game? This is stupid. So you just can't buy you just can't have Michael Jordan in this game. His salary is $2.3 million, and you have $100 million on the cap. So what is the point of playing this? Hoopsmatic, this is dumb. Redo your game. Hey, yo, review of this game is a solid D-. Pause. Hey, yo. It is what it is. I mean, Steve Kerr's not a bad pickup here, honestly. But at 4.6, but, again, it's not ideal. It's a little, I guess Steph Curry light with Steve Kerr. But, and of course we can't get Shaq as well, too. What's Shaq? Okay, Shaq's only 40.9 mil. So less than 25% of the cap. Anthony Hardaway is, Penny Hardaway, 22.7% of the cap. But, yeah, how can you not have, what's the point of trying to build a team that is better than 73-9, and I can't have Michael Jordan? So, make him 80 million. Just make him like 80% of the cap and boom, call it a day. Then it's like, okay, you have to have 4 role guys around him and then do your best there. Or, 4 really good lucky spins or something. Also, it shouldn't cost 10 mil to respin. Just make like $1 mil per respin or something. Hey, yo, 2 mil. But let's go, Darnell. Do we have 1 spot left? Is this the last spot? Okay, let's get the most points per game. Joe Wolf with 4.1, but I don't know how many games he played, though, is the thing. Anthony Bowie, Daryl Armstrong, I guess he was 3. Joe Wolf was 15 minutes a game. Okay, boom, Joe Wolf. Lock it in. Simulate this season. This better be 32 and 50. What are we playing against here? How are Anthony? I clearly don't understand the game. Oh, chat. Hey, we didn't mean to rage quit. I guess I just, flicked the mouse wrong. Hey, yo. It is what it is. I can't think of another way to describe it at the moment, but we'll just keep it moving. So, yeah, we don't know how to play the game. Clearly, it is what it is. Against the Warriors, we were even worse this time. Somehow, with Anthony Davis and Carmelo Anthony, were worse. The best squad we could have signed would have won 19.11 of this team. So, the best squad we would have signed apparently would have been Muhammad Abdul-Rauf, Tim Hardaway, Scottie Pippen, Anthony Davis, and Shaq. So, I guess, getting Tim Hardaway there would have been the move, like we said, instead of Melo. But Melo shouldn't make us 32 and 50. Hey, yo. It says, so wait, what are the... Oh, we have, questions here? What is this? Who makes plays when it stalls? No obvious answer? We have Carmelo Anthony. Hey, yo. Soft on the glass. Bigs are not crashing the boards. Again, we have Carmelo Anthony. He averaged 8 rebounds a game. Anthony Davis is there as at 10. And... Carmelo's a big body guy. Pause. He can get into the paint and play like a 4. Again, he was playing like a perimeter 3 in New York. But if he's playing more, stretch 4, which still I guess is him outside. But either way, and then it says star power at the top of the lineup, a true go-to scorer. Again, we have Carmelo Anthony. I don't understand what is going on here. And Davis, I guess, is early on as a rookie. But either way, we have Carmelo Anthony. So I feel like all of those questions are solved. You know, it still has Davis. I guess you get 95, 96 Shaq. So is that better than Carmelo Anthony? Sure. And then, yes, Pippen as well, too. I like that they've underpaid Pippen in this game as well as in real life. You know, Jordan is somehow $203 million and Scottie Pippen 17 mil. Like, again, Scottie Pippen can't be like 80% of what Jordan is in this game. Hey, yo. So projects this best lineup, I guess, projects to 47 and 35 and expected edge of about 6.2 points a game. It swapped in Shaq for Joe Wolf. Well, I guess, come on. What are we doing there? Swapped in Scottie for Steve Kerr, and it gains both fronts. But, yeah, either way. I guess, you know, we need to do the non-bias lineup. So our lineup has, you know, caught a little bit of a snag this last time because apparently Joe Johnson and Carmelo Anthony are not good enough for this game. Hey, yo, 16-17 San Antonio. So the right pick is probably going to be to take Kawhi because he's a decent value here, 18% of the cap. But we are petty, so I don't know if we can take Kawhi. Where's Ginobili at? 24 mil. Hey, yo, for 7 points a game. So Ginobili's just automatically a no-go in this game. That's tough as well, too. Parker's probably priced out. You know, Aldridge at 36 for 17. Pau Gasol at 27 mil. Why? So we have to take Kawhi. It is what it is. The biased move, I guess, would have been not to take Kawhi, but, you know, we'll make the non-biased move this time. And, you know, stick there at pause. 90-91 Orlando. Oh, this is early Orlando before Shaq. Dennis Scott, all rookie first team, 15 points a game. Scott Styles, 17 a game, 5.7 mil. I think we might have to go there as the best option. Jerry Reynolds, sneaky little 12 points a game as well, too. 6.3. Now, Styles is the move. Terry Catledge, 14 points. Shout out. So, Styles and Kawhi Leonard. Again, Styles 30 assists in a game one time. Oh, Hakeem, chat. Hey, yo, we have to take Hakeem. I know this is where we maybe get caught up on the biased again. Is Vernon Maxwell at 17 a game the right pick here? There's just no way. There's just no way. Like, Hakeem, this team, I guess 91-92, he didn't lead him to the finals. But we're talking about Hakeem Olajuwon here. Like, if we're talking about guys that actually would destroy the 15-16 worst, because you don't have Durant on this team. So not to say that doesn't obviously, you know, make this team worse, but there is a little bit of you know, you can't attack something there. So they, you know, again, if it's just offensively just being able to destroy everything. Like, if you defensively get the game a little slower, you know, Steph driving into the lane and stuff, like, there are some things that you can counter a little bit. So, I mean, I know that, again, I know for the point of this game now, it's going to be Vernon Maxwell at 4.3 mil. Hey, yo, we have to do it. I guess we're trying to win, chat. We're trying to win. Sorry to Hakeem. If it tells me the best pick is Hakeem next time after leading me astray, then, you know, I'm gonna be upset. It is what it is. So now it gives me Charlotte. Okay, 18-19 Charlotte. So we're automatically screwed again. Kemba Walker, 19.4 mil at 25-26. 25.6 a game is, you know, again, just not that inspiring. I know it's a good season, but still. Tony Parker on this team, too, maybe bumming us out a little bit. Willie Hernan-Gomez, 7 points a game at $2 million. That might be the move just in case we get a better team with our next spin. I guess we do have 10 mil. So do we burn 10 mil on a respin? Or do we get Willie Hernan-Gomez here for 2 mil? And then get a good player with the next one. Let's go Big Bismack Beyond. Oh, no, he's too expensive. Hey, yo. Let's go Hernan-Gomez at 2.4 mil and then see what we get. Because we have 56.7. Oh, the 2003 Brooklyn Nets. Oh, we can get Jason Kidd, though. Oh, okay. Okay. We can get... And this is title leading Jason Kidd. So, I mean, Kawhi Leonard and Jason Kidd against that Warriors team is not bad, honestly. That is not bad. Vernon Maxwell is a confidence guy for sure. Scott Skiles is, you know, a very competent playmaker. Hernan-Gomez a little weak at center for sure. You know, maybe we could have probably have gotten Kemba and Jason Kidd here. We have 18.7 left. We don't have quite enough to get Kemba. But okay, we finally have a play-in team, chat. 20, 45 and 37. Hey, yo. 15 point.
16% of our games won against the Warriors here. I'm not honestly even worried about this. I'm honestly even more worried about what's the best squad we could have gotten potentially. 55-27 is the best squad. Otis Thorpe from the Rockets would have been the pick, I guess, at 17 a game for 23 mil. Kenyon Martin, 20. So it's basing it off of this rating thing as well too, which is just not a stat that's like listed in anywhere. So it's just like this is a little confusing, chat. I'm not gonna lie. We tried to give it a chance, and I'm sure I like picking lineups enough. Pause. That we'll just in our own time play it again. Pause. It is what it is. But the third team, we're gonna play the Warriors with the Warriors. Oh, but we can't even take the other Warriors players. So this is dumb. So we just landed a team where we can't take any of the good players from the team. Like, see, chat, what is this? What is this game? My mind is so confused about how you put together this game. And then just, how do you expect an NBA fan to play a game where Michael Jordan is just not an option? Like, what are we doing? And then I can't have another version of I can't have an alternate version of Steph Curry to go up against 2015-16 Steph Curry. Like, hey, yo. I'm either going to have to respin or take Jarrett Jack. Like, what is going on here? I don't know. Let's be honest. I'm not winning this game with Jarrett Jack. So, shout out to Jarrett Jack. He, taught Steph Curry everything he knew, I guess. Maybe he'll neutralize him in the game that we play. 98-99, Houston Rockets. Scottie Pippen's more expensive on this team than he is in Chicago. So, again, this makes no sense. This makes no sense. He was $17 million in Chicago. He's $60.5 in Houston. I don't even know if that was the case. Maybe it was. Maybe he did get a little bit of a payday. But we can get Barkley here, I guess. 19 a game. And again, Elijah Wan's more expensive here than he was earlier as well. Though, obviously, Elijah Wan's always legendary. But Houston, 99 Barkley and 2013 Jarrett Jack is this team. We've got the all... What do we say, chat? I guess, you get the visual. It is what it is. Okay, here we go. 18-19 Sacramento. Oh, chat, this is terrible. This is terrible. I mean, De'Aaron Fox is actually pretty good value for this game here. I'm not going to lie. Maybe we just take Marvin Bagley because I'm upset. And just, Sacramento did it, so pause. So we can't take Harrison Barnes because he's on the Warriors, I guess. We can take Buddy Hield, who's 19 a game at 7.3, or De'Aaron Fox, who's 21 a game at 9.7. I feel like, we saved money last time and it kind of didn't help us out. But... and only like 2 mil. Like, is that going to matter at the end of the day? It might. So let's just take Buddy Hield. Why not? We're trying to overthink this game already. We've got 20. Oh, is this the Goran Dragic Suns that we were talking about? Hey, Vince Carter of this team, 50 mil. Oh, man. Steve Nash somehow 29.3. Grant Hill, 9.5 mil, 13 a game. Hey, Marcin Gortat. We got him at 18 mil, almost, 2/3 of what Steve Nash is. I don't really understand that as well. I mean, Gortat, I guess, did get some good plays from Steve Nash, but again, that's Steve Nash there. Josh Childress, 5 a game. Jared Dudley, 10 a game at 6 mil. Aaron Brooks, 10 a game at 5 mil. We may have to go with Grant Hill here, chat. Hey, this is the most uninspiring 4 we put together at this point, and it's the years as well, too. Like 2011 Grant Hill, 1999 Charles Barkley. Okay, the 04-05 Warriors. So we have 61.9 mil left. I guess we can respin, right? We don't have to get anybody on this team. Hey, shout out to Jason Richardson once again, but we have 61.9 mil. So let's do a little respin here real quick. We haven't done that yet. 18-19 Boston. Okay. Kyrie at 32.6. is not bad. We do have Jaylen Brown at 8.4 and no Tatum on this team. Oh, there he is, 10.9. So Tatum is a good value, but again, we are down to our last player. We might just have to take Kyrie here. Second team All-NBA. Again, I don't think any individual player, because we can't afford Michael Jordan, so any other individual player is just not going to help this team. It is what it is. So let's just take Kyrie and simulate the season and get this over with, chat. Oh, no. 42-40. Okay, it's a play-in team. I still don't think this team is better than the Carmelo Anthony Davis team that we had. But, I guess it is record-wise. And I guess that's how the NBA works sometimes. It is what it is. The best lineup we could have had was 46 and 35. So we're getting close. It was Steve Nash, Kyrie Irving, Buddy Hield, Charles Barkley, and Carl Landry. So wait, who was our center? So we had Charles Barkley, Grant Hill, Buddy Hield, Jaren Jack, and Kyrie. Jared Jack maybe is holding us back there a little bit. But Carl Landry's an 8.8 on this rating system, and our lowest guy's a 9.8. So I don't know how the average is. Rating 68.9. Oh, rating on this one's 72.3. So yeah, what is this rating thing that is in here? We're gonna have to study this game a little bit more, chat, and figure it out. Do we just have to do a 82-0 real quick just to cleanse the palate? Hey yo, just to do one actual good basketball game. Okay, 1v1. Wait, can we draft your team then go head to head against a rival lineup, chat? Oh man, what is this rabbit hole we just went down? Hey yo, is this live? Pause. Can we just play people live in 82-0? No way. This is a new feature, chat. We're going. We're in a matchup. Look at this. Look at this. Let's kick some butt, chat. Yeah, let's go. 2000s Boston. Are we drafting? Are we picking like? Can we each take the same guys? See, this would be a good one where we could each take guys off the board. So like if I take Paul Pierce we each take the same team and then have to take players off that team. But we could alternate picks. I guess maybe we need to refine the rules there a little bit. But let's go. Wait, what year is this? I guess 2000s, decades. That's right. Yeah, Paul Pierce. Let's go, Paul Pierce. Wait, do we get the? Oh, we get the easy version of this, chat too. That's nice. The Hoops IQ version, it's the alphabetically listed, but boom, this is the easy version in the head-to-head. So, opponent is picking. Okay. Sorry, we were. The opponent's probably not on a live stream right now. Are you tuned in? Hey, yo, slide in the DMs if you're tuned in. Okay, Jim Jackson or Michael Finley, chat. Or Rolando Blackman. Jim Jackson can play the forward shooting guard. I guess they both can as well. So let's go Finley because Jim Jackson went to Ohio State. So, obviously we're not going to have him on our roster there. It is what it is, though. Shout out Jim Jackson. But let's see. We've got our next team, Toronto in the 10s. So do we get Kawhi? We do get Kawhi, and we can play him at power forward. Boom. No disrespect to Chris Bosh. But the problem is Kawhi only played one terrific season, so his stats are going to look really good. So the problem is our teams are all going to look the same, right? If we're just picking the number one guys. This is where you need the Hoops IQ version in the 1v1. So, it's not just repeat teams for everybody. Unless the spins are different, which would, I guess, be the thing that we're not considering here. Oh, our center could be Nate Thurmond. That's fine. That's honestly totally fine. We do have a room for point guard here as well too, John Lucas. But rest in peace. Nate Thurmond is an absolute legend. So this is great. This is actually great. Nate Thurmond, Kawhi Leonard, Paul Pierce, Michael Finley is actually a pretty good team. So I don't know if we're 82-0 territory, but this is gonna be a finals team for sure. I mean, Nate Thurmond's a Hall of Famer, so we can't underestimate him. Okay, we may want to respin here. We have Indiana in the 20s. So we can go Brogdon as our point guard. We can go Halliburton as our point guard as well, though again, this is not going to account for Halliburton having like a 30-point game or something like that. This is just going to base off of his average. So do we want to respin the teams or do we just play it safe? Halliburton at 18 a game is not bad though. I know, Siakam, Sabonis. I guess, LeVert having a good 2020s and Brogdon in Indiana is making this a little weird. But 9 assists a game for Halliburton is, let's just take, we're not going to be worse off taking Halliburton. So, boom, let's go there and see what we got and see what our opponent has as well, too, chat. This is great. Oh, this is great. Oh, I think we might have won. Oh, we got him. Oh, it was close, chat. It was close. Look at that. 65-17 to 63-19. So these were some powerhouse teams. That is for sure. Brian Shaw, Lou Williams, Adrian Dantley, Andrew Bogut, and Alonzo Mourning. I'm not going to lie, chat. Our team is kicking this team butt in real life. That is for sure. I mean, Nate Thurmond and Alonzo Mourning's a battle. And, Bogut is 2010's Bogut's an interesting force in this game because it is like a front court heavy team. That is for sure. Yeah, we can't underestimate Dantley as well, too. But the problem is we do have Kawhi to throw on Dantley. And, I think Paul Pierce can guard Bogut. Bogut might actually be a bit of a problem, but I think offensively we're going to run around him, and I think Halliburton's going to neutralize him on the other end there. And Finley can, go at Lou Williams. He can score. He can play defense, so he'll be fine on the other end there. So, the scoring is a little low for us at 89.7. I'm not going to lie, to the 87.5 on the other team. Brian Shaw in the 1980s. You can't underestimate him. And same, we love Dantley as well too. But yeah, I think that our team's superior. It is what it is. I think we got him on lock there. So the thing that we do have to check here real quick as well is we do have ESPYs this week. So, nobody loves the ESPYs as much as, or not the ESPYs, but just like an award show in general. Oh, can we vote? Oh, chat, here we go. Boom, we can vote. Let's go. Let's submit some votes and see what we got. Let's vote against Brunson and make sure he doesn't win because the New York has won enough. Can we vote for Wemby over Brunson here? Okay, best athlete, men's sports, Otani. 2025 NL MVP, Stafford, Brunson, or Messi, chat? Oh, it's Messi. Hey, yo, what are we even doing? Hopefully we didn't just jinx him here. Going into the semis. They still have to play the semis. Best athlete, women's sports, Asia Wilson, Hillary Knight, Team USA Hockey, Michaela Schifrin, gold medalist for alpine skiing, and then Nelly Korda, two majors in 2026. We still have to go Asia Wilson when we can there. Best breakthrough athlete, Alyssa Liu, figure skating, Macklin Celebrini for the Sharks, Drake May for the Patriots, and Mendoza for the NFL. I have not seen any. I haven't obviously seen Celebrini. I haven't seen him play that any. I would say that much. We don't watch hockey, so I haven't seen him play any. But I have seen his name in posts with Drake May, but also Wemby as well too, where it's the future of sports is Celebrini, Drake May and Wemby. But I do kind of think that Mendoza is the best breakthrough of all these. I guess I'm just not as locked in with figure skating, so I'm just familiar there. But Olympic gold, I guess, is probably the biggest stage. So maybe we do have to vote for that, honestly. It is what it is. But Mendoza, Mendoza was a captivating mainstream guy. Mendoza's a legit star, I think, is as a rookie here. Drake May became a cool quarterback this year, but I think Mendoza's already a more popular quarterback than Drake. Mendoza might be more popular than Caleb Williams right now. He might be a top 10 quarterback popularity-wise in the NFL. I know that he might not be starting right away, but still, he might be up on that list. At this point, though, I don't know. That's a Vegas fan base thing as well, too. That's obviously a major, Raiders, is a historic franchise there. But I guess, we're saying, Olympic gold is probably the number one. So we do have to vote for that. Best record-breaking performance. Myles Garrett breaks the sack record at 23. Megan Grant, single-season home run record, NCAA 42. Jonas Hosflot Calabeo, first to win 6 Winter Olympic golds. And then Sebastian Sway, first marathon under 2 hours. Oh, Chet, that's world history right there. I mean, that's got to be that. I guess, all of this is world history. Nobody in the history of the world has ever hit 42 home runs in a, NCAA season. But, people have been running marathons longer than they have been going for the NFL sack record. So the first time that's that, who's that guy that went under the 4-minute mile? I guess we should probably know his name if we're going to use him as the example. But, that is what we're talking about here, where it's the groundbreaking new barrier for a marathon. A marathon under 2 hours? What are we talking about, Chad? That is crazy. Best championship performance, Arian Frankel, Olympic gold, a 0.39 GPA. My GPA was higher than that. No, an 0.39 GAA. Is that some that I guess I don't know what the hockey stat is there, but Connor Hellebuck, Olympic gold, 41 saves. Brunson, get out of here. And then Tegan Cava, back-to-back World Series, Women College World Series MOP winner. We might have to go with back-to-back. Pause. Though 41 saves is pretty impressive, but it's not Brunson. Do we go? I guess we have been voting Olympic golds a lot, but I don't know. The problem is, I guess these are more hockey, maybe a little more team focused than, pitching. So maybe we go there for baseball, as that's our analysis. Best comeback athlete, Anthony Kim, first win in 16 years. In golf, Kendall Stowers returned from medical retirement. Savvy King return from cardiac event, and Christian McCaffrey. How am I supposed to vote on this, chat? Hey, yo. I guess maybe, like, I guess, we got two obviously great medical return stories here. So there is no wrong answers. Shout out to everybody for battling through the adversity and, making their journeys and their stories, happen the way that they want to. So, shout out to everybody involved there and everybody, not mentioned as well too. But highlighting those stories is great as well. Best single game performance. Here we go, chat. Bam Adebayo, 83 points. Oh, man. Did anybody else play the Wizards in any of these games? Because I think Ohtani would have had double the amount of strikeouts. I mean, I guess nobody would. Yeah. I mean, I guess people can't hit him in the MLB. So we're criticizing. They're like, oh, the Wizards can't even hit off Ohtani. But Shohei Ohtani threw 10 strikeouts and hit 3 home runs. I mean, chat. Tice Armstrong, 3 grand slams, 12 RBIs. Whoa. Hey, yo, that is a game, chat. That is a game. Hannah Hidalgo with 16 steals. Chat, 16 steals. I'm going to legit go watch the highlights for that right after this. Like, 16 steals in a game is insane. That's in a game? In one game is crazy. But 3 grand slams and 12 RBIs would be insane to see. I mean, just in terms of the entertainment value of, I guess 12 RBIs would be 3 grand slams, wouldn't it? Okay, chat. They're kind of doubling up the stats there a little bit. I see. So it is 3 at-bats. I was trying to imagine, like, every time he's at-bat, he's just insane. Which I guess is obviously crazy that every time he was at-bat, bases are loaded. But I guess that does tell you that the pitching in that game was also a little weak as well, too, if everybody's hitting off of this pitcher. Setting up this Armstrong guy for all these grand slams. So it really is between Ohtani and Hidalgo. Again, Bam Adebayo, we've seen other guys score 80 points in a game. 16 steals. What's the NBA game steals record? I don't know. NBA game steals record. How many guys have ever had 10 steals in an NBA game? Lenny Kennan had 11, and then Kendall Gill had 11. So I guess 2 guys had 11 over the course of their game. So 5 more than the NBA game steal record. Hey, let's go NCAA men's b-ball game steals record and see what we get here for a result. 13. Mookie Blaylock did it 2 times. Whoa, Mookie Blaylock. Shout out. And then Darren Brittman also did it as well, too. All in the 80s. 86, 87, and 88. I wonder what was going on there. But 13. So 3 more than the NCAA record as well, too. Chat, I really want to vote for that, but I remember that Ohtani game being so transcendent. Throwing 10 strikeouts and hitting 3 home runs. Just the two-way play. Like, and notice, I guess here we can check the box score. Let's check the box score real quick. I want to be fair to everybody involved here. So, Ohtani was having the performance from an offensive and defensive standpoint. If there was like a 20, 25 point performance on the other side of that, then obviously, that is very, very comparable there for matching the two-way situation. But let's see what we've got here for a record. I mean, for her career, 5.6 steals a game in college. Hey yo, this is some crazy defensive work here. So obviously, definitely one of the best, if not the best. Obviously in basketball, we're saying the best hands of all time in college basketball. Hey yo. But let's see what we've got here for, I guess, do we need to go post all game logs? Let's see. It must have been this past year. 16 steals, 16, 16, 16. Let's see what we have got here. I see 10, 3, 8, 8, 8. Let's see. Was that one game or was that a collection of games? Oh, here we go. 16 steals. November 10th versus Akron. They won 85-58. So they were definitely, decisively winning. I guess you do if you steal it 16 times from the other team. That's 16 possessions that, they don't have. And then 44-16. Oh, chat, lock it in. Boom, easy, done. Sorry to baseball, but 44-16 is crazy. What are we doing? I said if she gets to 20, we have to vote for it. She doubled it. Megan Keller, I guess what's this next award? Best play. We have Megan Keller golden goal, U.S. Olympic hockey. Jack Hughes golden goal, U.S. men's Olympic hockey. Braylon Mullins buzzer beater, UConn Final Four. OG, get out of here. OG, Caleb Williams game tying fourth quarter touchdown. That was great, but they did end up losing that game. Though that might be the best play on here, because again the Anunoby play was kind of lame, but in terms of just effort and awesomeness and historic awesomeness, and just how great the player was. Again, like we're saying, New York and everything that they did is at the bottom of the list. But this Caleb Williams play was great, but they did lose the game. UConn did lose the championship as well. Fortunately it was to us, but that play was also great for them. Continuing their historic, what do you say, like run of just being as competitive as they are. So it's down between these two here. Can we watch these real quick for voting purposes and see what we've got going on real quick? What is the most impressive goal, I guess, of the year? Best play, overtime. So I guess the golden goal is the overtime walk-off goal. Oh, the crossover. Hey, yo, chat, that is pretty impressive. I'm not going to lie. Get him going from the left to right there. Again, the Hughes play, Hughes was a pretty big star this year. We have a steal, push it ahead, pause. We have an assist into a goal. Okay, so Hughes, impressive play, but the setup was based off of other players. Megan Keller a little more influential in setting her own goal up here. It's more of a 1-on-2 fast break for Megan Keller. So we got to go Megan Keller here as the best play. Best team: Aces, Dodgers, Indiana Hoosiers, Seattle Seahawks, U.S. women's hockey, U.S. men's hockey, not the New York Knicks, Carolina Hurricanes, Stanley Cup champions, or Texas Longhorns as well too. So basically, on chat, what is this? What is this? They're honoring every team that won a title except for the Michigan basketball team. Hey, yo, that team doesn't count as one of the greatest teams ever of the year. We can't even get them a nomination. Okay, the disrespect there is crazy. I think we're just gonna skip this category. I can't vote for a team here. I mean, I think Indiana definitely the best. In the Indiana, New York's, sort of, and I guess Sam Darnold, even though Seattle obviously has a franchise has been good, but Sam Darnold having some renaissance there is kind of fun. But New York and Indiana have the best sort of stories, and I guess the Dodgers is probably the best team, but the Hoosiers, probably do have to win this award just for the underdog story there. But we can't vote for anybody if they didn't honor the University of Michigan, the NCAA men's basketball champions. Hey, yo, and I guess they left off the South Carolina as well too, the women's champions. So just as what was it? Oh, UCLA. That's right, UCLA won. Hey, yo, our bad. We messed up there. But it was UCLA versus it wasn't even UCLA versus South Carolina, was it? It was UCLA versus Texas. I think was it UCLA beat South Carolina or Texas beat South Carolina? I guess we just were giving Dawn Staley the win. It is what it is. Shout out to Dawn Staley and shout out to UCLA as well too. Best college athlete: Madison Taylor, Olivia Babcock, Faith Torres, and Lawrence Betts as well too. So I thought you said Pitt. I was just looking at the color scheme there. So 2-time AVCA POY lacrosse, and then the Honda Award winner for gymnastics. I do think that this was an impressive performance. I remember seeing that just on the ESPN at one point. Hey, yo, I don't, why were we tuned in? But I think we have to go Lauren Betts. They destroyed that championship run, so we have to give them credit there. Best college athlete, men's sports. Again, no love for Yaxel. Where's our guy Yaxel? We got Mendoza, Donovan Phillip, Mitch Mesenbrink, and Cam Boozer as well too. Mendoza's probably going to win this award. I do want to vote for Donovan Phillip just because why not vote for the soccer player? But maybe it's going to be Mendoza. So we'll just go there. Best athlete with a disability. Hey, yo, shout out, chat. I guess we get to vote on this one. Okansa Masters, 13th career para gold. Jack Adikoff, para Nordic skiing, 3 para golds. Declan Farmer, para hockey all-time assist record, and then Susanna Scaroni, wheelchair racing, 4 major wins. So I don't know. The 13th career goal does seem pretty impressive, as well as the all-time assist record. It doesn't necessarily say that 13th gold is a record per se. So maybe we just have to go with the record-setting performance here as the main one, not being as familiar with the athlete storylines individually. Though again, shout out to everybody involved there. Best WNBA player, Asia Wilson, Nafisa Collier, Alyssa Thomas, and Alicia Gray. So no Angel Reese. We got to vote for Asia Wilson. It is what it is. Chat. Countdown to the next award here. And, still off the MVP as well, too. So there's no harm in voting for Asia Wilson there. We've got best NBA player, Wemby. Wemby! Wemby! It's Wemby. Why can't we vote on the best NBA player? Hey, yo. Why did they lock it, chat? Why did they lock it? What happened? What happened? Why can't I? Oh, voting is closed. Oh, chat, we can't vote for the NBA. We can't vote for Wemby. What a tease. What a tease. Okay, best NFL player, Matt Stafford, Garrett, Drake May, or JSN. Honestly, vote for JSN. All right, it's got to be Garrett, I guess. Though JSN obviously had a great season. But, if this type of award, when it's not the politics of the NFL MVP, you can go for Myles Garrett here in this case. Best MLB player, well, I guess Skeens maybe, gets a popularity bump here. I don't know, does the Academy really love Livy Dunn? But I think Otani gets the win in this one. Best NHL player, Connor McDavid, Macklin Celebrini, Kavucherov, and Nathan McKinnon. So maybe McDavid, I know, is a popular name. I genuinely have no idea. Maybe Celebrini is just already there. Oh, best driver. So we can't vote on any of the sports that we want to vote on, but we can vote for best driver. We got Alex Palou, Tyler Reddick, Kimi Anatelli, and Lando Norris, 2025 F1 Championship World Championship winner. Oh, is that over Verstappen? Hey, yo. So it might have to be Lando Norris there, though IndyCar champion is impressive as well too. No Lewis Hamilton. I thought maybe the Kim K dates would get him on here, but no, I guess we have to go Lando Norris just as a, vote for the F1 in general. We've got best fighter. So this is not best boxer or best UFC person. This is best fighter. Gaethje gets the UFC nod. We've got Clarissa Shields, Gabrielle Fundora, or Terrence Crawford. I mean, the Clarissa Shields Terrence Crawford debate could, we that could be a whole episode. But I think we'll go Terrence Crawford because, we were having fun watching him fight, and obviously, had the major fight this year as well too. Recently we have best soccer player. I mean, France did just get knocked out, so I think we have to go Messi here. It is what it is. Again, just the timing of the voting, though. Shout out to Spain as well too. Maybe Lamal is next up for getting in that mention, of course. Best golfer. We've got Nelly Korda, Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, back-to-back master champions, and Gino Thickhole as the player of the year for the ladies side of the PGA. We did have Korda in another category. I do forget what that category was, but maybe we just have to vote for her because, she was up for other ones as well, too. So it just seems like in the sporting world sense of it, impressive year. Best tennis player, Alcaraz, Sinner, Arna Salabankia, and Elena Rebekina. I think we might have to vote for Sinner, chat. Hey, yo. Are we still thinking about the movie? Shout out to Kugler. I don't know. Carlos, one battle after another. Alcaraz is the other vote here. I'm not sure. But yeah, do we go Yannick Sinner? I guess he did just win Wimbledon. So if we're going all recency bias, he won it, right? I'm pretty sure it was him. But, I mean, obviously we do like Alcaraz as well, too. It could be, I would probably say that, we made the movie joke, so we have to stick with it. It is what it is. Okay, chat. There we go. Boom. We locked it in. Shout out to the SPs. We'll see what happens. We'll see if our votes make a difference this year, chat. And speaking of voting, don't forget to turn out later this year. Boom, chat. We did it. We turned the SPs into something that means a little bit more. But what are we saying for, speaking of movies, speaking of awards, speaking of all that great stuff, We have, oh, chat, they just showed something on ESPN. That guy was like, wait a second, what's this? It said Timberwolves introduced LaMelo, and they were just showing LeBron highlights. I was like, wait, did Timberwolves just get LeBron? What happened? Hey, yo, it had the with the lowercase, and then they had LeBron highlights, and it was like introductory press conference. I was like, no way, no way. We called it 2 hours, an hour before it happened, but not quite yet. We will, have to wait a little bit longer to see where LeBron goes. But like we said, hey, yo, we do have part 2 of the 35th, if I'm getting that right. Can I do math? The 35th anniversary of one of the great foundational pieces of movies, especially like we're saying the last 40 years, but even, of all time as well. One of the great movies that we've had in John Singleton's Boys in the Hood. So we'll get that fired up in the background here. Part 2, you can fire it up with us up next, right after this.
All right, chat. Well, in typical Rem and Sam IT problem fashion, we're having IT problems. It is what it is. We're gonna have to make an actual promise to go to the DVD store, get the physical media. This is why you get physical media. Hey, you just pop in the DVD. I guess there are scenarios in which the DVD could fail you, the DVD player could fail you. I don't know, DVD gets scratched up or something like that. But there is a little bit more certainty there, and it would work better than the maybe alternative setup that we were using this time. But hey, that just means, do we get a part 3? Boys in the Hood part 3. We get to go real breakdown through the last final bits of that movie, and really see what is going on there. But I guess we're having loading issues, pause, with a couple of things as well too. So we see if we can get these fired back up as well. But yeah, we do have some other, obviously, so many things to mention about this movie. We were really going through a lot of the careers and legacies that were made from this movie. This movie was one of the great, like we said, launch point movies, just in terms of the amount of careers that just get started out of this movie. It's very rare to have. I honestly couldn't even think of one, and I'm not necessarily the movie buff situation. And we tried doing a quick Google on the last live stream, and I probably could have done more research as well too, just figuring out again what that could be. But regardless, there was nothing that really jumped out from that mainstream major way, especially again last 50, 60 years, even going back a little bit farther than that. I'm not gonna lie, once you start getting into the 60s and the 50s, our film knowledge maybe starts to drop off a little bit. But still, some of the more mainstream, just the names of the movies. I guess again, you have a movie that could launch a filmmaker, or a movie that could launch an actor or something like that. But to really just launch, a whole generation of a filmmaker, and a whole generation of actors, just careers all the way around, like, it's just such an impressive thing, that movie, and the casting, and the amount of talent that they were obviously able to assemble on screen at that time. Because again, you could there's so many movies where it's like, oh, you go back and you're like, oh, I forgot this person was this person turned out to have such a fun career, whatever. But to have so many, again, it's just stars. Like, how many people could have won the Oscar off of this, off of, like just out of this cast, is crazy. Like, again, I guess Nia Long, like, might get nominated here for this one. Regina King did she did win, right? I'm not crazy. She won a supporting. I'm pretty sure she won a supporting. Here, let me check that out real quick. I'm pretty sure Cuba Gooding got nominated. Lawrence Fishburne's obviously been nominated as well too. Angela Bassett. So again, that's obviously one lane of it. That is. Listen, chat. Okay, don't cancel me, chat. Don't cancel me. But do they have Lawrence Fishburne's picture on here twice? I don't want to assume, but I'm not gonna lie, this guy down here that they have under the picture that they have for Hudhal Al-Amir, SAT man, it really does look an awful lot like Lawrence Fishburne, I'm not gonna lie. So I think they may have I think Google may have a Lawrence Fishburne photo on here, I think is what it is. Or, there's just this may be the most uncanny resemblance we've ever had in Hollywood history. I don't doubt it, because there is some different coloration, and the facial hair is different, but man, does it look like Lawrence Fishburne. I tell you what, chat. But who am I to judge? But again, just Tyra Farrell, chat. I guess just so many great cast members in this, but just to have that many great careers launched, and again, like Ice Cube and Morris Chestnut as well too, having incredible careers in their own rights, and box office success. And obviously, don't write off the Morris Chestnut Oscar nom, chat. Hey, primetime Emmy, Morris Chestnut primetime Emmy for Watson, or what's the TV award? I think it's Emmy, right? Grammys music, Oscar, primetime Emmy. So primetime nomination for Morris Chestnut for, is he Dr. Watson, or is he, what is he right now?
I forget. I think it is Dr. Watson. Here, I'm sure it'll pop right up for his IMDb. Yeah, Watson chat. Hey, yo, expect a Watson nomination here pretty soon. So, again, just continuing to add to the legacy of this movie. But speaking of, Morris Chestnut and his character as well, too, obviously, the iconic Ricky Baker and, legacies of this movie. I was thinking about, of course, a couple of football things to go with the movie itself and the potential career. Obviously, Ricky was headed to USC. So, it's obviously a tragic, real life end to the movie there that, we do obviously want to be respectful in what we're, addressing. But it is, oh, Chad, hey, I just got the second TV to load, and then when I set the remote down, I turned it off. What a disaster. What a disaster. What do you do? I guess what do? You fire it up again, and you take two. You see what you can do. But we're trying to talk about Ricky Baker's football career here as well. So we don't really have any, playing cutaways for Ricky, which of course would have been great. And, if you're adding a sports scene into the movie, like, we're not going to complain. Adding a high school football moment in, adding some recruiter at Ricky's game would have been awesome. But, keeping it in the world that it is in as well, too, there is something to obviously just the movie setting that, again, Boys in the Hood, obviously, not to get too on the nose about it, but, I mean, it does say like, oh, you move into the high school football stadium, now it's not Boys in the Hood anymore. But, again, there just is something to the feel of the movie that, in the sort of contained environment that it's in, obviously really, really works. And I don't know, you start adding other locations and things into that, maybe it really, maybe it starts to expand the world into a way that it doesn't need it to be. I don't know. But, either way, obviously, he was a pretty dominant, high school running back. If he was going to USC, the legacy at USC is, pretty crazy. Here, let me double check. Forgive me. I know we are, talking about the movie, and the movie did drop in 91, but the movie itself is set in 84, I guess is when he is 10, right? So he is, fast forward, I guess, what, they're seniors, right? So yeah, I guess, 7 years later. So we're looking at, 1993 essentially. So 1990, I guess we looked up the 1991 recruiting class last time because we were looking at the movie, but we should have looked up the 1993 recruiting class because it would be for the 1993-94 season if it's 7 years later and Ricky is a senior and he's going to be a freshman at USC. If he's a senior in 90, or if he's a senior in 93, he would be in the 94 recruiting class, right? And then he would be a freshman in the 94-95 season, I think is really where he's at. So he's not, playing with Reggie Bush yet at this point, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm pretty sure that would have been the timeline, if I'm thinking about that right. If I'm wrong, you know what? DM us at REMINGTOM on Instagram, and we'll make up for it in part 3. Because, like we said, we'll have to go grab the DVD for the scene-by-scene breakdown. But, yeah, here, let's go college football, USC. Because I think that 90s running back spot, again, some of those 90s running backs, the NFL names didn't translate in the same way, just other schools. So, USC could have been in the same sort of lane there as well. But I think there was a little bit of a gap pause in the 90s for them having maybe those dominant running backs, mean those dominant teams. And yeah, just looking at the records here for USC as well. 1990, they were 8-4-1, but then 91, 3-8, rebounding a little bit in 92, 6-5-1, but they get a new coach in 93. So this could have been the thing as well, too. You have John Robinson going to USC in 93. You could have a new coach, bringing in obviously new talent there. Maybe he's, recruiting differently than Larry Smith. I don't know. But 8-5 in 93, obviously, RIP. This is without Ricky. But they were at one point ranked 18th. And I guess they started off 18th. So that was the highest they were ever ranked. But they started off ranked anyways. And under Robinson, got up to 13th in the nation the next year at 8-3-1, and then 12th at 9-2-1 in 95. So this would have been a good team for him to be on. And they won 3 bowl games in a row, including the Rose Bowl in 95. So we could have had Ricky in the Rose Bowl in 95. Rose Bowl Ricky in 95. Hey, yo. Is there any way, chat, we can do like a sequel? I guess we did. Obviously, we did get Lance Sullivan in later on in Morris Chestnut's career, where he does play for the Giants. So there is a little bit of a makeup there for him in his because I think he is a running back as well too. Is he a receiver in those movies? I forget. I think he's a running back. But in 93, they have, let's see here, Sean Walters going 137 carries. Looks like they have a couple running backs on the team, but Sean Walters at 641, Deion Struther at 310 yards, Terry Fields at 231, and then Devin Dotson at 197. So 4 running backs with 60 or more carries. Sean Walters with 137 leading the way. And then who was the quarterback of this team? Rob Johnson led the conference in completion percentage, 26 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. So it was like a pretty efficient, nice quarterback for him there, honestly. Like, would have had like a pretty good play caller, like, run, I don't know, like 90s play action, whatever that would have been. But, setting up off the run from Ricky, like, they probably actually needed the run game with his sort of efficiency, I don't know if it was like a low, attempts offense here. What are we looking at? Yards per attempt, like 8.8, 8.1 yards per attempt. So like, a medium aggressive offense, kind of like, maybe, I don't know if like we're looking at like Alex Smith type for Rob Johnson here statistically, but again, obviously a powerful, and Johnny Morton. So there would have been a combo here. And we'll get to a hypothetical offensive combo, 90s offensive combo, make no mistake. But just to talk about USC's offense, Johnny Morton and Ricky Baker would have been lethal. But this would have been Ricky Baker as a freshman, though. So maybe he's just kind of, again with this 4-man rotation, maybe he's just on the bench for that first year in sort of a redshirt role. Who knows? Like, is Rory Brown recruited onto the team? Then at that point, who's to say? So maybe Sean Walters is still one of the guys here. Let's see what we got. No, it would have been his rookie season as well too. So it would have been like a Sean Walters Ricky Baker running back battle. Though obviously you don't really have running back battles in the same way. You would have just maybe had 2 really good running backs. But I assume that he could have been 500 plus yards as a freshman. Splitting carries there. They were co-Pac-10 champs. Is that what it said? So they were 13th in the AP in 94. Rob Johnson back again. Oh, aggressive. It leads the conference anyways in yards per attempt at 8.7. This year takes a little bit of a step up. Oh, and they have Keyshawn. Whoa, chat. Hey, yo, that's not even a combo I was thinking of. I was thinking of a movie combo. We'll get to it later. But Keyshawn and Ricky Baker would have been crazy. So this might have been like a top 5 team at this point if they're really, cooking on offense. And again, Keyshawn's obviously early on. But Nebraska's number 1. Penn State, Colorado, Florida State, Alabama, Miami, Florida, Texas A&M, Auburn, Utah, Oregon, Michigan. So, in this scenario, Michigan's better as well, too. I don't know exactly how that happens. Oh, they jumped up 8 spots in the last ranking. Oh, so did USC. So they were a little bit lower, I guess, before the bowl game. And then, the win helped them get up there. So maybe they're, a little higher going in as well, too. But at least Ricky as a junior, 1995, if we're, again, calculating this right. Keyshawn, year 2. 90 receptions, chat. Hey, yo. 90 receptions for 1,218 yards. So maybe the volume is not there for Keyshawn. Though they do have Dylan Washington, who has 222 attempts this year in 1,050 yards. So carries a much, bigger workload for him. And this would have been his second season, but his first season in a major role, only 19 attempts in 1994. So, maybe he's a year off as well too, because it looks like he wasn't necessarily producing the same way the next 2 years after that. Was that injuries? What were his games played? No, his carries got scaled back, and he was only about 3.5 yards a carry after that as well too. So, I guess just in the scale of things, Ricky could have still obviously been maintaining the lead share of the offense. And if there's 220 carries to go around, again, obviously, Washington was almost 5 yards attempt, so it's having a pretty productive season. But if Ricky's even 5.5 here, let's see, what that does at 220 times 5.5. We're getting, it puts him at 1,200. So 1,200 yard guys, probably in the All-American run as well too. Let's see who we had on the All-Americans for this year. 1995, Eddie George. Oh, Chad, if we could bump an Ohio State All-American, that'd be great. I mean, Eddie George is a legend, but sorry, it is what it is. He's from a rival team. And then Troy Davis as well too, Ohio State. Tommy Frazier from Nebraska. Shout out. Troy Davis just putting up a casual 2,185 yards. Hey, yo. He did have second in Heisman Trophy winning this year, voting as well too. So, this was his season. That's for sure. But he also had 402 carries. So wait, how many receptions did his leading receiver have this year? Did they have a 90 reception guy? 34 receptions. So, maybe, again, the balance would have been a little different. You have Keyshawn, but maybe Ricky gets 300 carries as well, too. Is there a world where Ricky's the number one offensive guy over Keyshawn? Keyshawn's the number one pick, but maybe, maybe Ricky ups his draft value there. If you just see that production right next to another elite offensive guy. So if he's at 300 carries at 5.5 a carry, that puts him at 1,650. Hey, so is that enough to get past Eddie George, chat? We need to see how many yards Ricky could have gotten to get past Eddie George in that season. And would that have been the first of him being really good? I guess Archie Griffin was the guy that had, the 2 Heismans, but I think he was, pretty close. I guess he did win a Heisman, is what we're thinking of. And he had 95, 80. He had 303 carries for 1,826 yards. So he was 6 yards a carry. So Ricky would have needed to have been like 6.5 yards a carry, I guess, at USC. And, 5.5 in college is obviously not like 5.5 in the NFL. That's, like leading the league-ish if you're at that volume. But if you're top of the league, in college, you probably should be 6 plus. Like Ashton Jeanty. I don't know. Do we need to do like a Morris Chestnut combine real quick, respectfully, and see, what we're comparing him to for running back types here? Because Jeanty's a tank. Hey, yo. I don't know what we're looking at. I think maybe the more common actor comparison would be like a receiver. 6 foot. I don't know what we're looking at. Though, again, Chestnut's obviously, a well-built guy. I think Chestnut could, hold up as running back for sure. Hey, yo, 57, chat. I mean, shout out. But Morris Chestnut, chat. Hey, yo, we respectfully, we're just, NFL 190, 6 foot 190. So what NFL running backs 6 foot 190? Let's see what we can get here for a comparison. Very few running backs are exactly 6 foot 190. This position demands more size and mass. So is this like who is the guy for that the Dolphins, or not the Dolphins, the Cowboys drafted? Deuce Vaughn? Is Morris Chestnut actually like a Deuce Vaughn type? I don't know. Oh, James Cook. Oh, Chet, that's not bad. Morris Chestnut. Ricky Baker's like a James Cook type. 5'11", 190. I mean, he just put up 1,600 yards in the NFL. Raheem Blackshear, 5'9", 190. That is starting to get into a little bit of a different tier. That 5'7" to 5'9", 5'7". I guess there's not a lot of 5'7" running backs, but and I guess even 5'11" as well too. But that 5'8", 5'9" range where you're like Darren Sproles, Devon Achane, 5'9", 190. You start to get into a little bit more of a maybe not necessarily all the way 3 down, but Morris Chestnut, 6 foot, 3 down running back, Chad. Hey, so Ricky Baker is up there. What do we go for Reggie Bush? Again, respectfully here, let's see what we can find. Reggie Bush would have been, let's see, combine. Let's see what we've got here for the Reggie Bush combine set. 2006 combine results. We can just pull that up here. 5'11", 215. Is that what it said on the Pro Football Reference? I don't honestly know Pro Football had this page. So, hey, yeah, love to see it. Draft Encyclopedia. Oh, we'll have to go through that, chat. Hey, yo, just a little reading over at the host stand at work. Be like, what are you looking at there in your computer? Nothing, just the Draft Encyclopedia on Pro Football Reference. Let's see what we had here. Can we find guys that are 6 foot? Other 6 foot running backs from the 2006 class. I guess we could we go back to the. Oh, we can only go back to 2000. I was thinking we go back to 95 or 95, 96 and see maybe who Ricky Baker would have been, competing against there. Oh, Joseph Adai, 5'11", 214. And let's be honest, if Chestnut's like 190 right now, his playing weight probably would have been like 214, 250. He probably could have put on some weight for, Ricky could have put on some weight for playing. So Joseph Adai is not a bad comp as well, too. Obviously, the Colts won a Super Bowl with Joseph Adai. And yeah, Reggie Bush, 5'11", 201. So same thing. Ricky Baker is basically Reggie Bush before Reggie Bush, essentially, in USC. And, who knows how that, changes some on-field storylines as well. But for because make no mistake, if it's Morris Chestnut, Reggie Bush is a good-looking guy too. But you have Morris Chestnut and Reggie Bush chat back-to-back at running backs. You're like, what's going on at USC? Hey, yo. I guess I guess it is kind of a, Hollywood school over there. But yeah, there was some impressive. Oh, I guess this is GT stats. There was some impressive running back stats, obviously, from that time. And college running backs, like you're gonna have, your offenses with crazy leader attempts guys. Is that how you say it? You're gonna have your guys that are getting crazy amounts of carries, I think is what I'm trying to say here. Can I just find like I guess years, is what I'm trying to find here. I just want to find like the attempts leaders for 1995. Again, obviously Eddie George. We can take Eddie George's Heisman from 95 out is what we're trying to. And we had let's see. Let's get the name right here before I say it. Rashawn Salam from Colorado winning the Heisman as well too. So again, the running backs were the stars of the day in a sense. He had 300 carries for 2,055 yards, 24 touchdowns. A couple receptions on top of that. 24 for 300 is not bad. Not able to get into the end zone. They're not to criticize him, but also Cordell Stewart as well too. Obviously, they had a dynamic quarterback to just help the team overall. But in terms of the individual production, like there was a path here for, and obviously tough competition, like Ricky Baker versus Rashawn Salam versus Eddie George. But there was a pathway, anyways, like we're saying, for these guys to be the best stats, be the Heisman Trophy winner. Is what we're trying to get to here. But okay, boom, we got it. So we got Troy Davis at 2,010 yards in 95. Wayshawn Tate for Toledo, 19.5. And then George Jones from San Diego State, 1842. The yards. Eddie George, 1826. We have Michigan running back. Hey, yo, chat, they're going to make us test our fandom here. Look at this name. It is what it is. Bia Kabutika for 1724. So again, he's going to go up in yards in this scenario as well too. I don't know how this guy. Darnell Autry 1675, and Biabutika was 279 carries, so 6.2 yards per attempt. I guess he was leading the conference. Let's see our attempts leaders here. We have a 7 yards per attempt. Amon Green, shout out, 7 yards per attempt on 141 carries. 1,086 yards, and Warwick Dunn as well too. So these guys early on, I guess. Sean Mitchell at Texas 6.2, Biabutika 6.2, Mike Cloud, Eddie George. So 6 would have been up near the top. So like 5.8, 5.9 if we're being conservative for Ricky Baker. But I think there's a two-way threat with him there as well too. Receiving yards, we've got. Let's see here. What was our guy Biabutika at for receiving yards? Or I guess we could just do like a scrimmage yards sort here and see, which receivers are going to be out of it. Oh, wait. Nope. We sorted by plays again here. Let's see if we can get back to yards. Though Tate did have 376. So nobody in the 400 club this year for carries. We had George at 222, 2,000. I don't know why I keep saying 200. 2,225 total scrimmage yards. Tate at 2,169 and Wayshawn Tate at 2,088 are the three guys in that club there for this year. Joe Abdullah from Pacific, 1,794 yards this year. Tiki Barber with 1,613 for his yards. We got Mike Allstott at 1,598 as well. Just kind of seeing some names that are familiar here a little bit. So yeah, we imagine that he would have been, it looks like he could have been top 12 easily. We would have assumed by a senior if he's 1,600 plus yards this year. He's in that range, which I think gets him, and I guess the running back value is a little, hit or miss at this time, just in terms of some of them are obviously getting drafted high. It's not like everybody in the top 10 here would have been a first round pick. And I guess not everybody would have been going to the league as well. So the draft, I guess, would have been what we're looking for here. And Keyshawn, I guess, was the first overall pick in 96. So, you do have the USC offensive player getting elevated there. But, there would have been, obviously, like we're saying, that pathway for him. Hey, yo, Chet, the lag is throwing us off. It is what it is. Okay, we'll lock in here. Keyshawn. We got to find Keyshawn Johnson to get to the draft page that we need to get to here. Oh, Chad. Hey, yo, so close. Did we get the letter? Oh, we got it all. Hey, yo, I think no suggestions. I think we spelled it wrong. It is what it is. Can we go K Johnson? He's got to be one of the best, Chad. Hey, yo. Let's see how many. Here we go. Keyshawn. No, we got it right. It just didn't give us the suggestion. It is what it is. But yeah, first overall pick in the 96 draft, 7th in Heisman voting in 1995 with his 1,218-yard season that we saw earlier. So I'm probably not correlating all the years correctly in our mind here. We have Eddie George as the offensive rookie of the year in the 1990. Oh, so would this been for this draft here? Keyshawn and Eddie George in the same draft? I guess we can figure that out as we sort here. So yeah, Keyshawn would have been, and Biabuduka would have been the 8th overall pick. So again, Ricky Baker could have been a top 10 pick here as well. Yeah, Eddie George, 14th overall pick for running backs. And then Mike Allstott was the 35th pick. So he's definitely somewhere in the top 35. We have for the rushing leaders, Eddie George, 10,000 yards for his career. Allstott at 5K. So again, some of the overall production, maybe from the class, doesn't necessarily stack up here. But 10,000 yards, Eddie George, 2,865 attempts. Like there could have been something there for Ricky's career. One-time All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowl. Definitely could have been similar. Again, we could just use Reggie Bush as a comp as well too. But let's say if he was in the 95 class, again, we have Kajana Carter go number 1 overall. So does Ricky go as high as number 1 overall? I think the Kajana Carter pick maybe set the tone for the next year. But, again, they still obviously did go pretty highly throughout the draft. You have Tyrone Wheatley at 17, James Stewart at 19, and then you have a little bit of a wait. Ray Zellers at 44, Sherman Williams at 46. Maybe not the most familiar names here. Terrell Fletcher at 51. So he definitely would have, been way higher up in the 95 class as well, too. Carter with a total of 1,144 yards. Did I read that right for his career? So Curtis Martin as well, 1,400 yards on 3,500 carries for his career. 1-time All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler. So we see that as kind of the common thread here for those last two classes. Obviously, Terrell Davis, 3-time All-Pro, 2-time Super Bowl champion. I think his extra gear was pretty crazy. And Salam in this class as well too. Again, maybe not the same NFL career that you would expect, but I think we could have seen Ricky Baker at least in the 8,000 yard club at some point. And assuming what his playoff success would have been, there's a Hall of Fame case
could we have seen Ricky Baker in the Hall of Fame? So, I'm not trying to lead this into obviously, a depressing, life lost conversation as well too, but just to, theorize the NFL career. Cause I guess, we would, if the movie is contained to the time that it is contained to, we never would have seen Ricky's NFL career in the movie or his USC career in the movie anyways. If Ricky is able to, again, and obviously if we could say respectfully for the plot of the movie, like if Ricky does make it out at the end of the movie and the movie ends, like we're saying, this is still a theory that we could go down. So, hopefully it's that sort of, conversation instead of, like we're saying, hopefully not a cynical one. But again, this is some of the do you say real life NFL, NCAA, I guess, ripple effects that could have happened. And I guess we didn't even see like what team he would have been going to as well. So 95 draft. Let's go back here. I guess, again, Curtis Martin on the Patriots, but Kajana Carter on Cincinnati. So I guess this would have been, well before like the Carson Palmer days and stuff. I don't know if they were set up the same way in the 90s, early Houston as well too. Or that's, hey, yo, what is this? This is not even the Texans. 95, the Oilers, I guess. Oh, the Titans. Hey, yo, I'm slow, chat. It is what it is. Took me a second to register there. Washington at 4, Carolina at 5, St. Louis at 6, Philly at 7. So nobody like really ascends for the rest of the decade as like, oh, this team would have been, one piece away, and then with, a running back would have been crazy. I guess Tampa, if they would have passed on Warren Sapp, but as much as we love Ricky Baker, I think you got to take Warren Sapp there in that spot. In a redraft, he's definitely going pretty highly as well. Chicago, like if they had gone Ricky Baker over Salon in 95, they go 9-7 this year. Dave Wanstadt, the coach, chat. Hey, yo. Ricky Baker, maybe he's got a pathway to Fox Sports as well afterwards. Him and Wanstadt are hanging out there. Who's to say? But they were a winning team. They had Eric Kramer as their quarterback. Jeff Graham is the first receiver name that pops up here. I guess let's see who else is on the team. Curtis Conway with 1,000 yards. Oh yeah, Graham with 1,300 yards as well too. So he is definitely a leader there. And then Salon did have a good rookie year as well, but I guess was it injuries? It had to have been. Let's see what happens here for his career. Oh yeah, he plays 6 games the next year and then 3 after that. So we could do a Wikipedia double check as well, but we'll say, the unfortunate injury case. So I guess, we could just, if we're doing what ifs, we could just say what if he stays healthy as well too. But yeah, we would have maybe had him in Cincinnati. Maybe he goes to Washington instead of Michael Westbrook if they just want like an offensive weapon there, or Seattle instead of Joey Galloway. Like Joey Galloway had a good career. Yeah, he almost had 11,000 receiving yards. So, he was a really, really steady receiver as well. J.J. Stokes to San Francisco. I guess 90s San Francisco would have been interesting. 11-5 this year. Ayo, lost in the divisional round to the Packers. Oh, would this have been Favre? They lost in the conference championship game to the Cowboys. So, we're, I guess, in the middle of the pause of the Cowboys' dominant run. That defense, that offensive line is just going to be a crazy team to get past. Brett Favre, early Brett Favre here. He's winning the MVP at this point. So, 38 touchdowns. Obviously, the gunslinger mentality is taking over the league. You do have Jim McMahon on this team as well. Speaking of the Bears, a little connection there. But let's see what we had. 95 Niners. I guess you still have Steve Young as well. Terrell Owens, I guess, or Jerry Rice on this team. Is there an intersection of those guys? So, yeah, you have Steve Young, second team All-Pro. Jerry Rice, first team All-Pro still this year. So, you still both have both of those guys at the beginning of their powers. I guess you have, Reggie White on the Packers. So, maybe there's some defensive firepower there that's maybe a little difficult to overcome. Let's see what we have from the rushing standpoint. They had Derek Loville with 218 carries, 723 yards, 10 touchdowns. So seems like, pretty, okay production there from the running back spot. They could have probably used a boost, honestly. So imagine, they bring in Stokes as a wide receiver. I guess maybe you're planning for like the Jerry Rice
take over at that point. He's 33, but he puts up 1,800 yards. And I guess maybe receivers now, there's a little more of the, just like we'll find one in the draft sort of mentality. I guess maybe you don't have that the same way. So if you really believe in Stokes, I guess you take him. But if that's a running back, if that's Baker in that spot, and then you can maybe get 1,000 yards from your rookie running back there, and then be better off set up in the playoff game. And I guess they had the bye here and just lost at home. That's kind of tough. 7 points in the fourth, so it was a first quarter situation. Oh, a fumble recovery, defensive fumble return for Craig Newsome, that got them in the lead early on, and then the Packers scored on a 3-yard pass from Brett Favre, and then scored again 20. So they were up 21-0 in the second quarter, and then the Niners kicked a field goal. So going into half, 21-3, and they scored to open. Then the Packers scored a field goal. Packers went down, scored another field goal. I guess the 49ers offense just stalling out in the second half. Brett Favre, 21 for 28, 299, 2 touchdowns. Steve Young, 62 for 65 passes. Hey, yo, 32 for 65, 328, 2 picks. So, again, if you're losing, you're going to be throwing a lot of passes. Jerry Rice, 11 receptions for 117. Brett Jones, 8 for 12. And then our guy, J.J. Stokes, 3 for 24. So maybe if Baker is in there, who fumbled? Let's see. Was it the running back that fumbled? Imagine. Let's see what we've got here. They score. The 49ers blocked a field goal to start, so things were going well. Pass complete to Adam Walker. No, Adam Walker fumbles. This seems like a tight end, chat. Pause. Let's see what we've got here. That is a pause. But we have him listed at, the fullback. The fullback. So it was a guy out of the backfield. So that is tough, pause, because that is tough because you could have had Baker and Walker in the backfield at the same time, and the play could have still happened with Baker on the team either way. And then you're down 7-0 at this point. Next drive. The next drive, though, you start off with 2 runs. So Lovell, right tackle for 1 yard, no gain, and then left guard, no gain as well. And then Steve Young, incomplete intended. So they go 3 straight plays to the running back right out of this. Hey, yo. So imagine, Ricky Baker's 1,600 yards at USC, goes 18 overall. I guess Steve Young doesn't need another Super Bowl. He ends up winning 2 of them. But the Steve Young Montana conversations. I mean, is Steve Young in the GOAT conversation if Ricky Baker is his running back? Hey, yo, because this drive stalls out. Derek Lovell does nothing, and then they punt it, and then immediately Brett Favre, pass complete to Keith Jackson, 35, pass complete to Robert Brooks. So they didn't have Dion in 95, I guess, is what we're seeing. Wait, let's go back to the starters here for these teams and see what we have here. Cornerback, Greg Plummer, Eric Davis, Marquez Pope, Newsome, George Kuntz, and then Doug Evans as well. So yes, he would have probably been on the Cowboys by this time. And then Favre, so 50 yards in 2 plays. Edgar Bennett, right tackle, no gain, a run. Favre incomplete but holding. So they get a little penalty momentum there, and then they complete the pass for the 3-yard touchdown. And then Steve Young on the next drive, pass complete to Brett Jones for 10, pass incomplete, intended for Ted Popson. So we're going to go an entire quarter here without Steve Young targeting Jerry Rice. I mean, I don't know anything about offense, but I do think that maybe, you should at least target Jerry Rice once a quarter, even if he was 33 back then. He was, again, the first-team All-Pro receiver. Steve Young. Oh, there we go. Pass complete to Jerry Rice for 6 yards. So either way, a little late in the quarter, but I guess they didn't have a lot going on offensively. Steve Young, pass incomplete. This doesn't even say to who, so he just chucks it out of bounds. And then Lovell, right tackle for -3 yards. So I didn't even check his stats for this game, but let's see what he was at here. Again, they weren't running a lot. He was 8 carries for 5 yards. So they had, again, no run game. So I don't know why they were trying that early on, but Ricky Baker maybe changes the dynamics of the 95 playoffs. That 95 Cowboys team, I guess, was pretty dominant there. 38-27 against this Packers team as well. And I guess I didn't see double check Reggie White's name here for the 95 Packers, see if he was still or even to the roster yet, I guess, at this point, considering, again, when they would have won their Super Bowl. But let's see what we've got going on here. Oh, wait, did they not have the starting lineups? Oh, we're on the Cowboys homepage. I'm not clued into where we're at here. We need the box score for the game itself. And then we can see the starters here. Okay, they do have Reggie White on defense. I would have assumed, yeah, that time seemed like the time he was there. So Dion is on the Cowboys here. Of course, the offense stacked. Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, Larry Allen. It is quite the run of guys. Darren Woodson as your defensive back as well too. So Darren Woodson, Larry Brown, and Deion Sanders. I mean, that is probably that's got to be the most talented defensive backcourt of all time. Just kind of casually throwing out there, but it is what it is. Three pretty high-powered names. Favre in this game was 21 for 39, 307, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Emmitt Smith, 35 carries, 150 for 3 touchdowns. So if this is the 49ers, this is a Emmitt Smith versus Ricky Baker showdown. And again, this is Ricky as well. Ricky the rookie as well. So this is against a legend if they're having to go that way. I guess you start off with Favre, some incompletions here. So if this is Steve Young on the first drive, setting the tone with a run as well, it does seem like the game is pretty close throughout. And then third quarter, 26-24, even Green Bay with the lead here. And then Dallas goes down, scores. Emmitt Smith, 5-yard touchdown, 30-27, 31-27 after the extra point. Oh, and then Favre, an interception by Larry Brown, return for 28 yards. Then Aikman to Michael Irvin for 36. Oh, that's like the basketball, you get the turnover, you hit a 3, you're like playing Golden State, you miss a shot, quick, fast break, they hit another 3, and then you're like, all of a sudden, like, what's happening? The game's slipping away. You're like throwing a pick, Aikman's hitting Michael Irvin for 36, all the stars are ready to play. You got a defensive, Doug Evans is helpless in this point. I'm not even watching the play. It is what it is. He's got a pass interference. And then Emmitt Smith for 16, just all the stars getting involved. Hey, shout out to Kendrick and SZA. But Ricky Baker could have saved the 49ers in 95. Who's to say? But again, they didn't necessarily need him in 95 as well too. Do we have to go 96 real quick and see? But I guess we'll mention it now since we are, zeroing in on the end here. But I was thinking as well of a hypothetical 90s/2000s, because this movie is one of the movies is in 2000s, but a hypothetical 90s offense. And this does get a little confusing if you think about it, but I was thinking about what if you get an offense of Ricky Baker, Rod Tidwell, and then Willie Beeman as your quarterback. So you have a 3-man powerhouse from the 90s. And again, all of those guys reasonably could have been in the... Wait, am I an idiot? Is the Any Given Sunday, I guess... It's not an NFL team, but it is the NFL, right? Yeah, NFL defensive end is based on Any Given Sunday by NFL defensive end. So the Miami Sharks. Oh, okay. That's right. It's the affiliated football franchise of America. So I guess maybe Ricky Baker isn't playing against Willie Beeman, or maybe Willie Beeman is in the NFL instead of the affiliated football franchise of America. So I don't know. There's some scouting that's going on there, I guess, that needs to be done. And this is in 2001. So, again, running back timeline, it is a little bit different. Ricky would have been a little farther along in his career. Tidwell, it would have made sense. Because I guess what year is Jerry Maguire is 96. But the year that is actually dropped in, I don't know if it's like important to that. Yeah, he's 35. But I think it's just kind of modern times. For the movie, what year is Jerry Maguire set? Let's see what we get here for an answer. Yep, set exactly when the film is written and produced in 1996. Obviously Tidwell for the Cardinals there in 96. So again, that would have made sense for him if Willie Beeman's making an NFL run, for him and Beeman to have played together. But the Ricky Baker thing does get a little weird because, again, Cuba Gooding Jr. does also play Trey Styles in the Boyz in the Hood universe. So if Ricky Baker and and what are we saying? Rod Tidwell are in the same league. What does that mean for Trey Styles? Is Trey Styles moonlighting as a secret NFL player? Also, again, what does that mean for Lance Sullivan later on in the NFL? Does Morris Chestnut somehow, you know, like literally reinvent himself as Lance Sullivan and have a second life for the career there? We'll have to think about the logistics for that, but that would be probably the best football fictional offense that you could put out there. Those three guys against anybody, chat. Hey, Willie Beeman, Tidwell, and Ricky Baker. Like, who's stopping that? That is pretty crazy there. But a 96 draft, I guess. If Baker would have stayed to be a junior or a senior, I guess maybe a year later. This is a little bit more of a stacked name class here. I guess you have Keyshawn and Simeon Rice are not in the Hall of Fame, but I mean, Simeon Rice, 122 sacks. This guy's got to be. And Keyshawn, is right there as well too. Him and Ocho both, or the personality does give them a little bit more from the stats, but then they were also as every bit as talented as a Hall of Fame receiver as well too. So they're kind of unique in that sense. I don't know who the NBA comparison is for those guys. Maybe because the NBA version of their guy would just be in the Hall of Fame now already, if that makes sense. But it's like clearly Hall of Fame talent in Hall of Fame career moments, but maybe never quite on the successful teams, and then the stats are just a little bit. But I guess if you're in the 10,000 yard club for either one, I feel like it is pretty close. But I have to double check that for receivers, and see what we're looking at there. Do we need to bump it up a little bit for that type of stats thing? Because obviously you do get a little bit more there in the passing game. But yeah, Keyshawn to the Jets, Kevin Hardy, linebacker, to the Jags, Simeon Rice to the Cardinals, Jonathan Ogden to the Ravens, Cedric Jones to the Giants, and then Lawrence Phillips to the Rams. So this could have been Ricky Baker as well too. And Phillips, 1,400 career yards. Hey, speaking of helping out a team, this would have been crazy. And this is an interesting ripple effect too, because if this, is 96 draft, if I'm thinking about this right, again, if we're just guessing the timelines here, sick logo, obviously the Rams now in LA, but the Arch logo, pretty cool, not gonna lie. But we're a couple of years removed here from the greatest show on turf. So they do end up trading for Marshall Faulk over that period. If Ricky Baker is there for 7-8 years as their number 6 overall pick, they don't even need to trade for Marshall Faulk. And maybe the greatest show on turf still happens. It's again Warner, is it Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, and Ricky Baker is your top 4. Now, again, Marshall Faulk, pretty good running back. Hey, we're not going to lie there. Again, we have to, double check and see how good, Ricky Baker actually was. Because Marshall Faulk was in the 2,000 yard club scrimmage yards there multiple seasons. So that is, again, something that is, we just don't want to assume that anybody can just get there. Hey, but yeah, Isaac Bruce would have been on the team at this point. 1,300, receiving yards, was 5th in Offensive Player of the Year voting as well. So already super productive. And then from a running back standpoint, Harold Green would have been their most productive running back. It looks like 246 rushing yards. And then, or 248, is this rushing or receiving? 246 receiving yards, 523 rushing yards. And then Phillips had 623, but not the same amount of receiving to help boost his overall. Tony Banks, the quarterback, also adding 212 himself. So yeah, you have 23-year-old Tony Banks going 5-8, and then 1-2, Steve Walsh getting a couple of starts in there at 6-10, 97 at 5-11. Tony Banks again. You got Mark Rippon as your veteran option. Still kind of the same group of receivers. I don't know what they're looking like for defense here as well. Oh, they have Kevin Carter at this time. Okay, so you do have a name guy if this is the Kevin Carter that we are thinking of. Oh, not quite the Kevin Carter that we're thinking of. There is the Hall of Fame Kevin Carter here. Let's see. Is there just one Kevin Carter? I guess there is just one Kevin Carter. Who am I thinking of? Hey, yo. We have to go to sack leaders now. Pause and see what we've got going on. I guess we don't need to go down this rabbit hole, but I thought there was another Kevin Carter. Hey, let's just do a second Google search. Kevin Carter NFL. Hey, yo, this is the guy, Chad. This is the guy. Who is the guy that there's a Carter pass rusher, I think, that is a little bit higher in some of the sack total stuff. But I guess I could be wrong. Maybe Kevin Carter is higher in the sack totals. Oh no, 104. Okay, I thought he would have just been, again, I thought he would have been a Hall of Famer. I was just looking at this top where they would list Hall of Fame for your Pro Football Reference. But yeah, he's in the 100 sack club. So yeah, Kevin Carter, shout out. It is what it is. Get him in the Hall of Fame along with Simeon Rice. But 17 sacks in 1999. That year, 12 in 98. So yeah, his career ended up taking a good turn, and then played for Tennessee as well. So kind of one of the sneaky went to the rival teams, I guess, kind of move there. I guess we got to check for the timeline. Did he go after the Super Bowl when they played? But because that's the one the Rams actually won there, even though, again, obviously they're known for like the greatest show on turf, and they're known for being the greatest show on turf that lost to the Patriots, but it's like they did win a Super Bowl in there as well too. And I guess that last play is iconic enough. It does, help carry a little bit. But then poor Tony Banks is down to 4-10 in 1998. So who knows if Ricky Baker is helping him maybe sustain a little bit. Maybe they're too good with Baker and Isaac Bruce, and they were like, maybe Tony Banks, we don't need Kurt Warner. Who's to say? But again, it looks like there is some definite decision making that needs to happen here. And then 1999, 13-3. Hey, yo. You get Kurt Warner off the bench, off the bench from Walmart. He wins the MVP of the league throwing for, where is he at here? 4,300 yards, 41 touchdowns. Hey, yo. And then, yeah, you have Marshall Faulk as well, too. 1,300 rush yards, 1,048 receiving yards. So, obviously, like we're saying, 24-29 total. And then Isaac Bruce, 1194. And Torrey Holt, 813. So the rushing, I guess, again, Ricky could have done that. Obviously, 1381. Hey, yo. The 87, the fact that Marshall Faulk led the team in receptions is a little underrated there. Shout out to Isaac Bruce for obviously, being a dynamic receiver, still able to, be the number one in receiving yards and kind of carry the receiving title there for just the position group as a whole. Pause. But, again, obviously Marshall Faulk was dynamic there. So, you could have imagined at least, 40 to 45 to 60 receptions for Ricky Baker if he wasn't, again, the same level of dual threat as Marshall Faulk. But maybe he's 1,500 receiving yards or 1,500 rush yards, 500 receiving yards. And then that could still get him to the 2,000 yard total. Again, Marshall Faulk this year was almost, 2,500 yards. This is crazy. The only person that wins the MVP is literally have him and Kurt Warner as the 1 and 2 for MVP voting here. And then just Marshall Faulk gets the Offensive Player of the Year. So, it is pretty impressive. And then how many, I guess because the 12 touchdowns is probably the reason. If Marshall Faulk had 20 touchdowns this year, he's probably winning the MVP of the league. And I think he does end up getting one as well, too. Does he get one the next year? So, again, maybe Ricky Baker gets a Marshall Faulk MVP. Who's to say? 10-6 in 2000. Hey, lost the wild card. So, wait, was it 01? I guess was the bounce back season. They changed the logo. And the Ram is cool, but I don't know. There was something, and I guess I have seen some highlights recently. I don't know, the Mark Bulger era where it's like, the kind of darker gold version of the Rams. And it is, again, being nostalgic for an old era. It is, I guess I'm not like, do I like the jerseys? But I'm like, oh, that was a cool time. The Rams weren't that great, but there was something there. Steven Jackson, shout out. He was fun. But yeah, 14-2 again in 2001. And Kurt Warner, 4,800 yards, back again. I guess 2-time MVP, obviously. Marshall Faulk, second in MVP voting there. So wait, let me go back and check. Was it 2-1-2, I guess, was the order? Yeah. So the 10-6 year, he was the MVP. I mean, Chad, again, we can't just assume that, one of the obviously most productive stats running backs that we've had from an all-round standpoint. I mean, he had, 4 straight 2,000-yard seasons from a scrimmage yard standpoint. So 6,000 receiving yards for his career, 1,200 rush yards. I guess where does 1,900 put him on for the all-time scrimmage yards leaders? Obviously, there is a Colts run in there as well, too. So, unfortunately, I think he did request a trade. Early player empowerment era, it doesn't get talked about. But I think the move kind of worked out for him, so we can't necessarily be, too critical of what he was thinking there for going to that team. Can we see? Oh yeah, here we go. All purpose. I was looking for scrimmage yards. They have it listed as all purpose yards. Career leader, all purpose yards. Jerry Rice. So he's 8th. And Darren Sproles. I guess because Darren Sproles has the kick return yards as well too. Oh, sneaky Chad. He's a smart player. Walter Payton, I guess, is the number 1 running back in the 20,000 yard club. Him and Emmitt Smith are the only 2 in the 20,000 yard club. Did somebody tell Frank Gore? Did somebody tell Frank Gore that he was 8 yards away from 20,000 career scrimmages? Somebody sign Frank Gore now. Is it too late to get Frank Gore 8 more yards? Hey, yo. It is what it is. I forget who I was just listening to on some pod that was just like, it was kind of a throwaway comment, but they were like, oh, I don't like how we keep running back stats later in their careers when they're just like stat padding. And it's like, wait, why can't we just like, what's wrong with the guy getting stats in his 30s? Hey, yo. Just because he's less athletic, his stats don't count. But it's like, oh, can we just sign Frank Gore now to get him 8 more yards and get him into the 20,000 yard club? I'd be down for that. Who cares? But Marshall Faulk right there as well, too. Tomlinson, I guess not quite in the 19,000 yard club as well. So it's Walter Payton, Emmitt Smith, again, like tier 1 running backs of all time. That makes sense. And then Frank Gore, Darren Sproles, and Marshall Faulk as the next 3. But there is something there where you do have, like you said, just the never-ending career of Frank Gore, the all-round career of Darren Sproles, and then, like we're saying, just the dynamic career of Marshall Faulk. Tomlinson, it's funny that the 1,800-yard tier is better than the 1,900-yard tier. You have Tomlinson, Barry Sanders, I guess Herschel Walker. Hey, yo. But, mostly Barry Sanders and LaDainian Tomlinson is what we're thinking of here. Peterson, 1,700 as well. Marcus Allen, Curtis Walker, Tiki Barber in the 1,700. Derek Mason, I guess Derek Mason is a receiver. Thurman Thomas, 1,600 yard club, as starting to sneak in there. So we're thinking, anywhere from 14. We have LaShawn McCoy, 1,500 yards. Derrick Henry's at 14.8 right now. So yeah, Ricky Waters, 14.8. We could see, Ricky Baker, I think, in the 14,000 yard club, and that would get him in the Hall of Fame. Like we're saying, if he was 10,000 rush yards and then 4,000 receiving yards for his career, we could have definitely seen that for the move. We got John Riggins at 1,300 rush yards. Again, we would have needed the playoff success for the career there as well to what are we saying, to help boost that legacy stuff. But yeah, either way, that would have been fun. I hate to do an AI simulation of the career, but do we have to just at least ask the question just to see what happens if he is in there, just to get another perspective? Hey, yo, we need all of the AI to. What's the most advanced? Will be all-round help, solves complex problems. Hey, yo, is this a complex problem? Let's see. We need the thinking version. Let's see what we get here. Sim, Ricky. Hey, yo, supposed to spell the name right. Ricky Baker's NCAA / NFL career. And let's see if we can get, something for kind of what we got and what we were looking up. Maybe it can pinpoint the years and get that right as well too, and make sure that we were, looking at the right draft, looking at the right NCAA years for when that took place. So, classic 91 film needed to qualify for 710, arrived too late. Hey, yo, again, we're trying to think positively here. It arrives on campus in the fall wearing his iconic number 21 as well. Freshman in 1991. Hey, yo, chat. So again, right away, we know it's not locked in because the movie is 7 years after movie is 7 years. I think it's 7 years after 84. Doesn't make any sense. I think they are seniors in high school, and just to set the stage right and make sure we get this all in. Let's see, 7 years after 1984. So that will help, I guess, dial in what years, chat. So again, we have the thinking version. It's going to take a second. But do we go through alternate timeline? Oh, it sent him to the Raiders, I guess, in 1995. Okay, yep. So when the movie fast forward 7 years, oh, I guess I can't do math. It is 1991. So yes, this is why we need the. So I guess our alternate career is wrong. It is what it is. Okay, yes. So we have him. I guess is he going to the Raiders again in this scenario? Yes, he is. Okay, so let's just see what we got here in the first one. Freshman backup role in his first year, but yeah, right in that 650 range that we were talking about, 680 to 600. I guess so, still stays the same, even if the year is a little bit different. Then he officially takes the starting role. I was gonna say 3,000 yards. Wow, we definitely underestimated him. I guess that's between the two seasons. So tailback U, Posse becomes a national sensation, known for his elite sensation and effortless acceleration, while his brother Doughboy and mother Brenda watch proudly from the sideline. So yes, Doughboy also, around in this scenario as well too. Ricky leads the pack 10 in rushing, and he carries. Oh, Chad, why? Why carries USC to a Michigan victory over Michigan in the Rose Bowl? Finishes fourth in the Heisman voting as well too. 1994 is his senior masterpiece. Oh, okay, so we did end up getting to the draft right. We just, I guess, didn't get. Well, we ended up getting to the right draft. We just didn't get there right, I guess, and most of some of the right years. But team captain in 1994. Instead of leaving early for the draft, he stays for his senior year to finish his degree. Chat, yes sir, yes sir. Puts together one of the most dominant seasons in USC history. Wins the Doak Walker Award as well too. 1,724. So on the high end of what we were thinking there. 1995 draft. The Raiders take him 10th overall in this simulation. Immediately takes the NFL by storm. Offensive Rookie of the Year. He rushes for 1,200 yards, catches 45 passes as well too. So not to doubt our man, but just to make sure we have this right. Let's see what we had. That was the 95 season. Yeah, 1995 NFL season. What was the bar for success for the rookie that year in 1995? I guess we did. Was it Eddie George? Once again, I think we did see that earlier. Let's see. Oh no, Curtis Martin was offensive rookie of the year this year. So the running backs that we were, that did end up leading the class, obviously started off as the number one guys. Hall of Famer Curtis Martin, 1,487 yards and 14 touchdowns. So AP, he was a Pro Bowler in Offensive Rookie of the Year. He also had, let's see here, 30 catches for 261 yards. So it is those 40 catches that are going to boost him over Curtis Martin, because if he is at, let's see, wait again, what was Ricky at here? 1260 for his rookie year. Oh, 1210. If he is at 1210 that rookie year, he's gonna need, either 700 yards here from his receptions to get past that. So we'll say 1750 would just put him past that. And I guess he had what? How many rushing touchdowns? I guess it didn't say. So he'll need 15 touchdowns all around as well too. I guess at least. Because 18 touchdowns as well. If he gets to 20, it's a lock. But let's see here. If we have the difference in yardage, 538. So he needs 600 yards from those 45 catches. About 13 yards a catch. So it is going to put him into Marshall Faulk territory, kind of, for, I guess, we're, for the production is what we're saying. But that sounds great for, the numbers wise. And then 96 to 2000, peak of Run Ricky Run. I guess the peak of Run Ricky Run. I guess they're, reinterpreting the title. Imagine, chat, the alternate universe where it's like the NFL, where it's like his NFL slogan. But 1998 earns a first team All-Pro nod. 2000, Ricky has his best career season, rushing for a league leading 1,650 yards and 15 touchdowns. Do we verify again, chat? In 2000, did the league leader rush for 1,600 yards in the NFL that year? That could be about right. 2000 game logs. Here, let's see. Would be, obviously, I guess it's not Curtis Martin. if it's not up on his page here. I guess we were just looking at Folk's page, but that was more for the total than it was for the rushing leader. Oh, our guy Edwin James at 1709. So not to take away the rushing title from our guy, Ricky, but this is literally a Colts rushing title. So somehow in this simulation, Ricky has gotten to win over Michigan in the bowl game and taken a rushing title away from our Colts running back. So somehow this simulation is directly affecting our own teams. I think maybe the Google is tied into that. 2000 to 2004. 2002, Ricky helps guide the Raiders to the Super Bowl that year, although they fall short to the Buccaneers. So unfortunately, I guess Ricky's not able to help him get the win that year. That Bucs defense is too much, but he gets 130 yards from scrimmage in that game. So you can't take that game away from Ricky's legacy. That's like you look back at that game and go, obviously Rich Gannon cost him because, Ricky Baker was doing everything. After a decade of punishing hits and brilliant cutbacks, Ricky retires in 2004 as a beloved franchise icon. So 145 games for the Raiders, 46 at the USC. Did it change anything at all when we realized we couldn't do math? I don't think so. So I like that it adds here at the end, though. Little post-credit scene. After his retirement in 2004, Ricky immediately returns to South Central LA alongside his childhood friend Trey Styles. So he's not Rod Tidwell in this situation, who went on to become a successful architect / community organizer. Hey, yo, Chad, I love the post credits is fun here. Ricky establishes Baker Styles Community Youth Center in Crenshaw. Oh, there you go. Offering sports programs, academy, touring, and safe havens for local kids. In 2007, Ricky Baker is officially inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. Look at that. So I guess, I don't know why he's not an NFL Hall of Famer as well, too. I guess just because the NFL Hall of Fame is a little crowded, and for some reason it's just stopping here at 2011. But he'll get there eventually. Hey, yo, again, obviously RIP to the movie character of, Ricky Baker. And again, obviously we tread lightly in terms of the, greater themes and stuff that it is addressing here. And, just in any case, we see, cases of, talent gone too soon. In music, especially, I'm thinking music, is sometimes a little bit different. Some of the stories and, some of the things we hear about, obviously in the 90s, I guess there was some, different stuff there. But, I'm thinking for our generation, there was a little bit of a run of, if I could say respectfully, there was the OD run for some of the artists of our generation. And, again, obviously there is just a greater message to be taken as well too, these stories and these what if stories. But, again, hopefully, like we were saying about the way that movie is contained in the timeline there, maybe there is that hypothetical option that we could have had to theorize about, even if he is obviously making it out of the movie. But I guess, like we're saying, we will have a part 3 because we're going to have to go get the DVD and, run through the last 40 minutes and actually sit down and watch that. I feel like we can't officially end the anniversary celebration if we didn't complete the rewatch. So we will complete the rewatch on the Friday live stream, amongst a bunch of other things. You can join us then for Boys in the Hood, Part 3, Friday night here on the YouTube. Like I said, you can also hit us up on the podcast feeds. You can DM us at REMINGTOM on Instagram as well and send us a message over there. And we will see y'all Friday night. Peace.